Ladies and gentlemen, we are now live on Facebook. We are now live on Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and I also want to thank Linda and Mac McGrath over at the Northeast Streaming Sports channel on Roku for giving the opportunity for us here to be on their channel, because it is going to be an eventful one here, because we are just hours away from Odyssey Pro Wrestling's War on the Shore here, and we're going to be speaking with someone that's going to be a part of the main event here. He is no stranger to Sportswire Radio and the Sports Report. He is the #1 contender to that Odyssey Pro Wrestling World Championship. He's the 2022 Odyssey Pro Wrestling Overboard Rumble winner, and always looking forward to speaking with him. He's got a lot to say. He's going to be a part of a huge card here and match as well. So without further ado, here on the Sports Report, the #1 global sports show, the 2022 Odyssey Pro Wrestling Overboard Rumble winner, the unforgettable Andre Dekker. Mr. Dekker,
I see you've been working on that. I see you're getting a little bit better. You're still not quite at the level it needs to be, considering the grandeur of the guests that you've got, but you're getting there. Well done. You're doing all right. So, how are you, Tom? All right? You good?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there. I mean, I'm hoping to get one day your full stamp of approval. We're working on it. I realize you got to take baby steps.
Still got some work to do, pal.
I clearly don't deserve to have the spotlight on me. That's for sure. You are definitely somebody that's going to have, though, all kidding aside, a lot of spotlight on you, Mr. Dekker, because this Saturday, it's finally climaxed here. War on the Shore for Odyssey Pro Wrestling. Main event here, the World Championship. And I feel like that we've been speaking about this for months. And it actually has been for months. And obviously, you are going to be a part of that main event triple threat match for the World Championship. And it's going to be you and the natural born fighter, RP Davies, who's going to be on here in a little while. And the champion will also be a part of that. That is Ryan Hunter. So for those that are watching and listening to this here, champ, set the tables for us, because apparently there was a podcast not too long ago where I saw you and the natural born fighter RP Davies go back and forth, and you got to talk to us about that and what went on, and almost it's kind of, I guess, a side course just to maybe what we're going to expect here Saturday night.
So last week a podcast called the Damn It Vince podcast, unlike just very similar to yourself, really need the viewers. So obviously,
no, I'm not a podcast. I'm a radio station. One thing I'm going to correct you on: I'm a radio station. Big difference.
There we go. I'm sure it is. But either way, you need listeners. You need eyes watching.
Agreed.
So you're going to need a draw. So why wouldn't you invite me on? Which they did. They let me say my piece. They were very nice to my face. Very nice to my face. And then next week, they had the following week. So this week, they had RP Davies on. And you know what? They were just, full of it, really. Just hypocrisy. And they were like sucking up to him and talking about how a great champ he could be. And, it was... And I realized I still had the link for the Zoom. So I was listening to this and I got a bit fed up. I was like, you know what? I've had enough. I'm going to jump back in. RPD let me into the conversation. And I told him what I thought. And I told them what I thought. And you know what? We had a conversation. And to be fair, the time for talk's over. Saturday, I'm just going to do the talking with my fists and my feet. And RPD, I'm gonna kick his teeth in, so he's gonna struggle to talk.
Well, we'll certainly see. I'll tell you one thing, Andre Dekker, the natural born fighter RP Davies does like to talk. So if you do kick his teeth in and he can't talk, well, certainly we'll find out. But something tells me here that the talking is going to end Saturday, and I feel like it's finally come, and it's been long overdue. Now, from your vantage point, we'll get RPD's standpoint. We try to at least give everybody a fair shake here, and I think that's the reason you've come on as many times as you have. But let me ask you this question: do you feel like, from your vantage point right now, you have the advantage because, from your standpoint, all the words, it comes to an end here, and at the end of the day, the natural born fighter RP Davies hasn't been in the ring with somebody as big as you. So it's almost right now advantage unforgettable Andre Dekker.
I wouldn't say that at all. I think you're misreading it completely. At the end of the day, I won an opportunity to have a championship match. There was no reason for it to be a triple threat match, let alone two people who are from the same town, who now train together and who are now friends. So how is that me having an advantage, Tom? Seriously, think about it. How is that me having an advantage? Well, I have to, basically, it's effectively a handicap match and they want to fight over the pinfall at the end. RPD has explicitly said he wants to take care of me so him and Hunter can have a fair championship match. That's what he calls fair, when he was just gifted an opportunity that I won. So there's no advantage here if you were looking at it on paper. But at the end of the day, I know Ryan Hunter better than anyone knows Ryan Hunter. So if anyone can beat him, it's me. RPD, I've got the better of him at every single turn. I've exposed his inexperience more than enough times, and I'm going to do it again. So when the dust settles on Saturday, it's going to be me holding the gold high. And that's it. It's inevitable. It's undeniable, and it will be unforgettable.
I will tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen, here, the last several months, it has certainly been the year of the unforgettable Andre Dekker, because he has been on a very impressive run here, to say the least. You think about the opponents that he has laid at their feet and everything that he's done to the natural born fighter RP Davies, the Cumbrian outlaw Rick Marcus. We saw what he's did to him in the past. Obviously, our own Wildfire Nate Reese. I mean, it's a long list of opponents here. So certainly the unforgettable Andre Dekker is on quite a run here in the world of professional wrestling, to say the least. But let me ask you this question, the unforgettable Andre Dekker, because you did mention Ryan Hunter, and you know him well here. And I'm going to have a question for you in a little while about him, and I'm going to hold that thought here. But I want to go and at least set the tables for us and Ryan Hunter, because of the fact you know him as well as anybody, and arguably, I think, better than the natural born fighter RP Davies. Don't tell me the strategy and how you're going to beat Ryan Hunter and how you're going to limit him. But talk to me about going into that. Does that make you feel confident in any way?
100%. 100%. I know what makes him tick. I know his strengths. I know his weaknesses. That is finished. The Hunter's Arrow. When he first started practicing that was with me. So everything in his arsenal that he uses to put his opponents away, I've already got it scouted. I mean, I saw the development of every single one of them, and I've seen him lay opponent out. And every time I've thought, that's where I would reverse that. That's how I would get out of that. You know what? If you stand here, he can't hit that move. I know exactly how to beat Ryan Hunter. So, you know what? It's going to be an education for him, because he was the star student when we were training, and I think he thought because he was younger than me, and he thought he'd overtaken me, and I think he's underestimating me, because I think he's thinking I'm the same Andre Dekker early on in our careers who struggled to get wins against him, but this year already is proven I'm a different animal.
I think you're a different unforgettable Andre Dekker than when I first spoke with you right around this time about a year ago. So I would argue from several years ago, but even in the last year, you're a different person. You're on a different run right now. I mean, you're right up there with some of the most dominant big men in all of professional wrestling. And I want to ask you about that, because one advantage that you do have clearly going into this match is your size. I mean, how do you use that in a way that you focus on not one, but both of your opponents here?
look, what they're going to do is they're going to start trying to fly around. RPD will want to throw his strikes straight away. Ryan Hunter, again, quite a big guy, but deceptively quick. And that's where people get caught out. I know that's coming. I know he's going to try and mix up his power moves, and then he's going to try and switch it on me with some lucha. I understand that's what he's going to try and do. And I know when he's going to do it, because when you watch him, he does it the same way every single time. A lot of guys don't notice that. But when you know someone that well, I know what he's going to do before he knows he's going to do it, because he doesn't even pick up on his habits. I do. I've scouted him because I've trained with him. 10 years of experience wrestling each other. There's not anything new you can show me.
And I think that's where you're going to have the advantage over the natural born fighter, RP Davies, from that standpoint, is that you have what you just mentioned, 10 years experience in the ring. He's got roughly 2. I mean, he's got 2. COVID was a year plus out of action. So it's really 2 years of experience. You have that 10 years of experience. And there's another factor here that I want to talk about going into this match here. Obviously, part of the main event here for Saturday's huge card for Odyssey Pro Wrestling. I want everybody to follow Odyssey Pro Wrestling on Twitter at OPW_UK. Also, please like them on Facebook at Odyssey Pro Wrestling. Also on Instagram as well at Odyssey Pro Wrestling, because the war on the shore, every time I speak Odyssey Pro Wrestling, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So I have a feeling it's going to only be bigger after this one, as we are with the unforgettable Andre Dekker, the 2022 Odyssey Pro Wrestling Overboard Rumble winner. I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce. And obviously, the Spotlight has been one of the biggest groups in all of professional wrestling. And you guys have run amok in Odyssey Pro Wrestling. It's clearly fair to say. Obviously, Reese and Rogan are also a part of that group. They are no strangers here to the show. And also Chris Brooker. Talk to me about Chris Brooker here, and don't tell me exactly verbatim what advice he's given you here. But having, I think, somebody as accomplished outside the ring and everything he does and everything he helps with in the game, and Chris Brooker, talk to me about that standpoint and how that's going to help you going into Saturday.
Well, a guy like him, he's been there and done it. He's been backstage at many a wrestling event, and he's, been a part of, a huge part of Future Shock Wrestling, and a huge part of a lot of the careers of wrestlers who are doing brilliant right now. So there's not a lot he doesn't know. And he understands business. He understands what Morecambe needs. Like, the simple people of Morecambe don't realize that having someone who is a successful stand-up comedian, who has entertained all over the world, also has extensive experience behind the scenes in British wrestling. They don't understand, and they're ungrateful for the gift that he's given of his time to them. People who weren't ungrateful were me, were Reese, and were Rogan. And he took us and realized that for Morecambe Wrestling to succeed, it needed me on top. It needed Reese and Rogan as the most dominant tag team. And that's something that general manager Ethan Edwards didn't want to deal with, because we weren't his friends. So, to be honest, Chris Brooker is the future of Morecambe Wrestling. And I am the future of Morecambe Wrestling. And Reese and Rogan are the future of Morecambe Wrestling.
And we have a comment in here. Certainly, I have to read off here because it's somebody you know very well here. And that is, of course, Kurt Johansson, who does a phenomenal job, obviously, doing play-by-play here and commentary for Odyssey Pro Wrestling. And he's been on the show as well here. And I'll read it off to you, Mr. Dekker. And he says here, if Dekker walks out champion, Morecambe riots while I cheer on commentary. So, I mean, is that true? I mean, tell us here what your thoughts are on that.
I've heard a lot of threats of Morecambe fans writing in if I win, and all I'll say is I don't know what the legalities are of what I can say, but trust me, you don't want to try it, Morecambe fans. You don't want to try it. And Kurt's a smart man. He knows who's the real champ is. He understands that I should have a one-on-one championship opportunity. That I've overcome every single obstacle that Ethan
Oh,
Edwards
Nate,
has
we had
thrown
you
at.
on with Nate Reese, and listen, Nate Reese was trying to interject himself into this, and you beat his
Exactly.
challenge back.
Exactly. I had to defend it. I didn't even want to be in Blackpool. But Ethan Edwards pulled the old contract obligation on me, so I had to go to Blackpool. No one wants to go to Blackpool. Look at the scruffs that are brought from there. The likes of Ryan Hunter and RPD. People have been dragged up. So it's not a place I want to go. And then even worse, Nate Reese. Oh God, knocks me sick. And it's I had to wrestle. Not only did I have to wrestle him, but then Ethan decided to make me defend my championship opportunity that I earned by beating 19 men in a rumble when I started at number 1. Ridiculous. It blows mind. And you know what? I'm laughing now because if I wasn't laughing, I'd be in a different mood. And to be honest, I don't really want to break anything.
But remember, everything is going to come to a head Saturday, so don't lose your cool too much. And yes, there is a lot of valid points to the fact we've had you on a number of times here over the past several months, and certainly the deck has been stacked against you, no pun intended. So there is definitely that case to be made, but now you're here. Despite everything that might have happened against you, you have the opportunity to shut a lot of people up. We know the history between you and Morecambe. We have an ability here to put that all to the wayside here. You become the champion, it becomes a totally different ball game now. So it doesn't matter at the end of the day. You have to block that out. You have to just go in there and say, listen, I don't have to tell you anything. You know what you need to do. You've already shown over the past several months since Odyssey Pro Wrestling has formed here that, again, you've been on a run that very few wrestlers, if any, have had here. So clearly that's going to be all things here aside. And obviously we are talking all things related here to Odyssey Pro Wrestling. And also I want everybody here to follow Sportswire Radio. You can catch us on Facebook anytime at Sportswire Radio, and 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to all of our great content on sportnarium.com/player. And we will have on here in a little while, once again, the natural born fighter, RP Davies. We'll get his side of the story. We'll certainly ask his thoughts on everything. And also the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera, who's going to be in the ring here with Wildfire Nate Reese, another guy who's definitely been making a name for himself. He's been with us on Sportswire Radio as a regular. So excited for the first time to speak with the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera. And I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryson. I want to talk about KOW here for a few minutes. And I'll come back to Odyssey Pro Wrestling, and there's a lot I still want to get into here. But KOW, I want to break it here. We're going to have ALP back on here next week, and Lucy Simons is going to come on here as well this Tuesday. So we're going to be speaking a lot more about KOW here in the future. And always excited to be a part of KOW. And you're a huge part of that. And the underclass has a new member here. And I got to admit, the unforgettable Andre Dekker, this was a clever way. You have the latest member here of the underclass. And certainly, I don't know how you guys pulled this off, but certainly for our audience that may not be familiar with what I'm talking about here when it comes to KOW, and I'm sure I'm going to hear a lot about this from Lucy and ALP. Talk to me about the newest member, Logan, and how'd you guys pull this one off? Because I got to say, this was one of the more clever ones I've seen here from a pro wrestling group in a very, very long time.
Well, as I've said, what have I said about 2-Bit? Everyone talks about his viciousness. Everyone talks about, the Rat King and how he's and how he is violent and what he can do damage physically himself. Not a lot of people talk about how smart he is. And Logan, has been a trainee wrestler, a lot of people don't know. Everyone just thought he was a referee, but he's been training to wrestle for a very long time, and he's been, again, I relate to this because he's been denied opportunities, and he's been waiting his turn very patiently. And you know what? The underclass, all of our stories are about scrapping and fighting and clawing from the bottom to get what you need and what you want. And 2-Bit has seen Logan struggling to get any opportunities and told him how it is, and told him that, you know what you need to do? You don't need to ask for your opportunity. You don't need to wait your turn. You need to take it. And you know what he did? He did the right thing and took it when he I wouldn't say cost Craig Collins the championship, because you know what? 2-Bit would have had it anyway. But when he assisted, I'd say, 2-Bit in retaining the championship, because he is the rightful champion and the best champion that KOW can have. He's made a decision to further his career and better himself. And look what happens now. He has a championship opportunity with me. He gets to learn under me. And you know what? We're walking away with the gold, and we're going to put both. We only need to put one of them through a table, but we're going to put both Nightmare and Will Carter through tables. And we're going to enjoy it.
This could be arguably one of the biggest nights in the history of KOW for any group I can think of. I know KOW has quite a history here, but for the fact that you could walk away with tag team gold, which is a very, very strong possibility, and 2-Bit here in this 2 out of 3 falls match, which we certainly think he has a strong possibility to come away and retain his championship. I mean, you think about it right now, and again, I've said this to you in the past. We think about everything going on with the Bloodline, all the gold that they have, but I would make the case here, come May the 14th, the unforgettable Andre Dekker, the underclass very likely could be the strongest group in all of professional wrestling, with you and Keenan, tag team champions, and certainly 2-Bit continuing his reign here as the KOW World Champion.
Well, it will be me and Logan, because that's the thing about 2-Bit. He's got that genius. He's realized that, you know what? 2-Bit, he realizes that, you know, with just 3 of us, we wouldn't have been able to get all the gold. So he's brought Logan in as my tag team partner. So we will take the tag team championships. Keenan is now the showcase champion, and 2-Bit is now the KOW champion. So we're going to have all the gold. We're going to have it all. And there's no one's going to be able to stop us. Who do you think can stop us?
In KOW, I couldn't think of anybody.
Anybody.
I mean,
Craig Collins, no.
Certainly not Lucas Leon, because he lost the gold last time.
You see what happened after my match? Look, I'll give it to Nightmare. He got lucky, and that happens to everyone. He outsmarted me. I put a step wrong. I got caught in the headlock driver, and I lost. But that match was not about... In KOW, I'm about the tag team championships. And that match got cancelled because of an injury, Will Carter. Oh, and I can see a comment there of Chris Stone asking if we're stronger than the Wrecking Crew.
Mr. Stone is certainly from the LW.
Don't you laugh, Chris.
He's a big man, Mr. Stone. He's on quite a run in the
Hey, I'll love to take him on any time. Heavyweight versus heavyweight.
Is there anybody out there that maybe could put that together? Is there a promoter out there that might say, you know what, Chris Stone, tag team champion, the first
top up the money, and I'll have Chris Stone any day.
I mean, I would be happy to put the money up. I mean, we have the money here on Sportswire Radio. I mean, do you think that would be okay if maybe we would put the money up and actually we?
Yeah, look, if you put the money up, I'm up for it. Me and Chris Stone, 1-on-1.
Now, where would you like to have that? Because where would you like to have that match? Because clearly, we know that in the town of
I wouldn't want to go to Chorley. It's horrible there.
Right. I've had trouble pronouncing the name for the past several months, so I'm actually in agreement with you on that one.
Horrible place.
So we know you have some issues with the fans in Morecambe. Barrow is one. I mean, where is a neutral? Can we have a neutral site environment? I mean, is there any place you think that maybe we could meet halfway between you and Mr. Stone?
I don't know. I don't really know. I really, really don't know. You know what? You can come over here. I'll beat him up. I'll batter him around my house.
And Mr. Stone has another comment here. He says, "You name the time and place, Dekker. It's on like Donkey Kong." I mean,
hey,
that's actually pretty funny.
As long as the money's right, Chris Stone, I'm up for it.
I'd be happy to put the money up. Listen, Mr. Dekker, I'd be happy to put the money up. I don't know where you guys would like to have the match. I don't know where you guys would like to have what stipulation to it, but I would be more than happy to put that up and make that happen because
one thing I would say about the Wrecking Crew is what they're doing in the LWF is almost as good as what we're doing with KOW. The underclass are taking
it's
over.
Almost right because you have a number of belts.
We have championships, and once we get our tag team championships back, and it will be me and Logan. So two heavyweights.
Well, there's one difference here. 2-Bit took the KOW championship and ran with it. Nick Cutter didn't get the job done against Reynaldo. I mean, he's our Castle Cup winner, but that's one thing. I mean, to be fair, and certainly we do a lot of work with the LWF, and we don't want to certainly cross that bridge and obviously burn bridges. But I will say one difference is 2-Bit. 2-Bit has the gold right now, and Mr. Cutter still doesn't have that gold. So I would say one thing, yes, Getsky and Stone are on quite a run, and Davey Getsky's a guy that's just, I mean, everybody hates Getsky. That's kind of the line here, but for valid reasons, some might say. But certainly, we'll try to make that happen here. If Mr. Stone wants to have that match with Mr. Dekker, certainly we will definitely try to make that happen. Because I know one thing real quick, guys. I know Steve Bibby, the man who does some work in Odyssey Pro Wrestling from time to time, and I know he's there at a lot of the events and such, but he'll not put this match together. I can guarantee you that Steve Bibby would never want to see the unforgettable Andre Dekker and Chris Stone in the ring. That's exactly why I want to see that match happen. That's exactly why we should make that happen, because Steve Bibby is not going to make that happen. But we'll make it happen here on Sportswire Radio. I'll do my best.
You need to cough up the dough. And I know Chris Stone's not cheap either.
We're aware of it.
You know, we both aren't paying, mate.
I know you for a while, and I'll put it out there. I probably going to get in so much trouble for doing this, but this should be sufficient, right? This should be sufficient here. We've got the money here. That should be sufficient. Should be sufficient. Should be sufficient, right?
Monopoly money. Change that to some sterling. Put the Queen's head on it, and I'll probably take some from you.
I think I could work on that. And Chris Stone says, "Boom, let's get it on MF." We're not going to repeat what MF means, but you can fill in the blanks because we are a radio station, and we at least try to keep it clean here. But obviously, we know the point here. But I want to go to KOW very quickly back here again. And obviously, May 14th is coming, and we'll speak to ALP and Lucy. Is there anything you'd actually, since we now announced it here, that Mr. ALP is coming back on here next week, and it's been a while. Is there anything you'd like to say to him so that way we can maybe ask him on that? Because I'm sure you were going to be.
He never really got back to me about my pay raise. He didn't. So, I don't know whether I'm flogging a dead horse there, but not really. I don't generally like speaking to him, so it's not something.
So we know let me get this straight here, because in the LWF we know that Steve Bibby pays in hot dogs, but apparently ALP and the people behind KOW aren't exactly paying maybe the way that you would like.
Look, I'm a star. I'm worth a lot of money, so an ALP, he just doesn't seem to appreciate that. So, you know, I don't want to speak to him. So I don't have anything to say to him. I generally don't like interacting with him or the Barrow people or the Barrow fans. I like to go in there, win, knock some heads, get paid, and leave. So I don't have anything to say to ALP. You know what? He can just enjoy watching me beat up his preferred stars and put them through tables, which I'm going to take great pleasure in doing.
And I think certainly the end is coming to a head here for the current tag team champions who are on borrowed time, and that is obviously Nightmare and Will Carter, the team of Freak Show. So it certainly does seem like, and in fact, we could certainly make the case here that that tag team championship reign should have ended in March, but because we know why, some unforeseen circumstances, the match didn't take place, but it's going to finally come to a head here May the 14th, and I am looking forward to continuing to speak KOW here for sure. I want to ask you this question going back to Odyssey Pro Wrestling, because I know the unforgettable Andre Dekker. We spoke a lot about RP Davies in the past and everything else, but he's been a champion before in a sense. And obviously, we know you've been a tag team champion. We know you've had a lot of success. You're on quite a run right now, but he's going to point to, for his standpoint, we'll get his side of the story here in maybe 15 or 20 or so minutes from now. We'll get his side of the story and we'll hear what he has to say. But he's going to go and say, you know what? I've been in this spot before. I've been a champion. I was in boxing and I won there. And he's going to feel that very confident going into this because he's been in this spot before. He's been in these matches. He likes the spotlight. It's a fair point. I think nobody would disagree with that. RPD likes to be in the spotlight, which you are in, and he likes to talk. But you haven't quite been a champion to this level. You've had a lot of success. You're on a great run. For you, is that something going into this match that you think about it all and saying, you know what, this could change my career? Saturday is going to change.
You're having a joke. Whoa. You're having a laugh, mate. Look, I've been a multiple-time tag team champion across a number of companies. Look, just because I've never been a singles champion yet doesn't mean that there's any advantage to RPD, to Ryan Hunter. So the fact that you're even insinuating that is ridiculous and shows how little knowledge you have, mate. Look, I've told you, and I've repeating myself, and I hate repeating myself. Look, I know Ryan Hunter better than anyone. RPD, look, I've got the better of him every single time. We've locked heads, and it's just ridiculous that you think that I am at some disadvantage just because I've never won a singles championship. It's because I've not been given enough opportunities. I've only ever had one singles championship match. And again, that was another multi-man match. So I've not been given a fair shot. And the fact that you're holding that against me shows a lot about you and how little you know and the lack of research that you've done, Tom. So I think you should shut up when you don't know what you're on about. Look, you are looking again, don't interrupt me. You are looking at the next Odyssey Pro Wrestling champion.
Well, Chris Stone seems like he says the same thing
on this stupid show.
Okay, well, Chris Stone certainly says anyone but Dekker. I mean, I hope you wouldn't.
I don't care what Chris Stone has to say. I don't care.
Okay, Chris
I'll
Stone.
deal with you another time. This is nothing to do with you. This is about championship matches. You know nothing about it, Chris Stone.
Well, that certainly could be a point that could certainly, for some, maybe would agree. And if you do like what you hear from Andre Dekker, and if you certainly do want to follow him, you can certainly do follow him, please, on Twitter as well at Real Dekker. Also, Andre Dekker Wrestler as well on Facebook and also Instagram as well, because he very well could be walking away with the Odyssey Pro Wrestling World Championship here. And what I was going to also ask you for this coming Saturday, that this very well could change your career, regardless of how you dislike the question or not like the question, but we could be looking at you in a different way from your career. Being a world champion is a big deal. You're the guy. You're the guy, regardless of what you may think of me or what you may think of the fans in Morecambe or anybody else in Odyssey Pro Wrestling. You're the guy that's going to be the leader. You're the guy that's going to carry the ball for Odyssey Pro Wrestling. It's going to be a different ballgame. It's going to be a different world here. It's certainly going to be the spotlight is going to be put on the unforgettable Andre Dekker. For you, Saturday night, you walk away and win that championship. We're going to look at your career differently. What's that going to feel to you if you win this championship?
It's going to feel like it's about time. I've been confident about where I should be for a very long time. And it's them, the fans, the people in power like Ethan Edwards, who've just not wanted to recognize that. And I don't care what you think. I don't care what they think. I don't care what RPD or Ryan Hunter thinks. I've heard the chatter about people doubting me and thinking that I shouldn't be in the spot that I'm in. But I should have been here on top a long time ago. And the fact is, as soon as I'm on top, that tune will change and everyone will change their narrative and everyone will act like they were behind me the whole time. But I don't forget. I know that was. And I'll take great pleasure in shoving my success in their face.
Well, certainly, ladies and gentlemen here, and we've said it before, I mean, when you think about the word unforgettable, obviously we think about the song from Nat King Cole, but I could certainly assure you, ladies and gentlemen, come this Saturday, if the unforgettable Andre Dekker is the Odyssey Pro Wrestling World Champion, we won't be thinking about Nat King Cole anymore. We'll be thinking about Andre Dekker, because he will be the one that everybody will remember that is unforgettable, to say the least here. And let me ask you this question, because I know we spoke about Ryan Hunter a little bit, but I feel like the last 8 months, undeniably, it's been more or less about you and the natural born fighter, RP Davies. When I think about Odyssey Pro Wrestling, this has arguably been the biggest feud the past 8 months, but you still have Ryan Hunter here in this match Saturday night, and you still have to some extent focus on him because it's a triple threat match. So if this was just one-on-one, you and RPD, or one-on-one, you and Ryan Hunter, you could worry about them and you take care of business. Fine, no problem. Spotlight's on you. You win the championship, right? But there's a possibility here that you may not even get pinned. And Ryan Hunter walks away and pins RPD. He's still champion here. There is still that possibility. There's a quirk in this match that you may not lose here and still not be the champion. So again, don't tell me how you're going to win this match. Don't reveal your strategy. I don't want you to do that because you have two opponents, and certainly RPD is coming on here in a few minutes, and I don't want you to divulge anything. And I'll say the same thing to him. I'll be fair, and I'll say the same thing for him as well. But is that something that concerns you here, that you could dominate this match, but for whatever reason, Ryan Hunter walks away with this championship and you don't even get pinned or lose this match? So how do you focus and avert that?
Look, I've said before and I'll say again, I know Ryan Hunter better than Ryan knows Ryan Hunter. And it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Ryan Hunter is a great wrestler. Ryan Hunter is a dynamic mover. Ryan Hunter does have it all when it comes to power as well. I understand that. But I know his move before he makes it. He's playing checkers, I'm playing chess. Look, I can take care of Ryan Hunter. I can take care of RP Davies. The fact is, I shouldn't really have to do this anyway, because this champions, this disadvantage that you're claiming is against me, is something imposed by General Manager Ethan Edwards. And as you said, it's been about me and RPD. Me and RPD should have really ended as soon as I dropped him over that top rope. He was just put in this match. So I've not seen it as just me and RPD. I've seen it as my climb to the top. And neither of them guys, they don't understand how hard I've had to fight for this, because they've not had to. In wrestling training, Ryan Hunter was the star student that everyone wanted to wrestle and everyone wanted to give the opportunities to. I was the other one. With RPD, he had the red carpet rolled out for him and he was given a feature match straight away. And he was put in a championship tournament straight away. Well, on the first show, I had to buy a ticket. Then I remember out the venue. Then
I couldn't figure out why you weren't on the card after you had your long history.
So they do not understand struggle like me. You don't understand hunger until you've not eaten. And they don't understand that. They don't have that hunger. So there is no stopping me.
Certainly that's the case, and we have a comment from Joe Wynn, who's from stateside, basically saying, bro is saying you're going to lose. Well, nobody's saying that, Joe. It's a triple threat match. I mean, certainly.
Yeah. Shut your mouth, Joe.
It's a triple threat match. I mean,
Shut your mouth, Joe. Take your vaccine.
Well, I mean, I think that would certainly help for Mr. Joe's case, but I'm gonna not get into that argument. But I will say one thing here. Obviously, we are looking forward to Odyssey Pro Wrestling's upcoming event here this Saturday, and I know that there are still a few tickets available. So I want everybody to go to Twitter at OPW_UK, also Instagram Odyssey Pro Wrestling, also Facebook at Odyssey Pro Wrestling. Also, please follow the unforgettable Andre Dekker here because his career, his trajectory. We may not even know him after this. Listen, we're lucky to have you right now, the unforgettable Andre Dekker. But after Saturday, listen, you're going to be on BBC more often. You're going to be on Sky Sports. You're going to be on an American TV. You're going to be, listen, you're not even going to know us anymore. We're going to have to pay through even more through the nose to have you after next Saturday. So when you're a world champion, it's a different.
Especially with how you've been speaking to me today. To be honest, generally, I'm a bit sick of your face. So.
Well, I'm sure that.
Listen, whether I even want to come back,
we may never know you after
my
this.
Valuable free time with you here. I don't know.
I don't know either, but I know one thing, that if you win this Saturday, that you're going to be a whole different.
When I win this Saturday.
Well, we have RPD, and I don't want to be like the last podcast you were on that was saying things behind your back. I want to at least be transparent and say you have a chance. There's no question you have a very good chance.
You're honest. You're stupid, but you're honest, so I appreciate that.
Well, I'd rather be honest. And we see here Joe Wynn has another comment in here, and Joe is saying, see, he has no faith in you. Again, Joe, is there anything you want to ask Andre Dekker? You know what? I'm not even going to ask the questions. Let's see Joe Wynn. Joe Wynn, you're in the conversation.
I have no interest in talking to this Joe guy. Who cares?
He's from North Carolina, so I don't even know.
Even worse. Go away.
Okay. All right. So certainly we'll plead the fifth on that. But before and he says, I don't know. Well, I'm not even going to read his last comment. I think he's just watching and having fun here. I think that's all it is. So it's not like he's an Odyssey Pro Wrestling fan, but I appreciate, Joe, that you've tuned in here. But I want to ask you this question before I get closing thoughts from you. I know I always like to ask this question before everybody comes on here before a match, but what do you want to say to anybody that's coming Saturday night to watch you, War on the Shore? And what do you want to say to Ryan Hunter, the current champion, and the natural born fighter, RP Davies? Because this is going to be the last words that you're going to have here before Saturday. We're about less than 48 hours or so, give or take, before the main event. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Is there anything that you'd like to say to anybody?
To the fans, I want to say take it in, because you're going to be a part of history. You're going to be a part of the greatest moment in Morecambe wrestling ever. The crowning of a new king, really. The coronation of a champion that will take you to heights that you've never really seen before. So the fact is, you won't appreciate it, because I know what you're like. The Morecambe fans are very ungrateful, and I know they don't like me, even though they know they need me. So, I'm going to give them what they need and not what they want. But let it be known, you're a part of history. You're a part of something great. And then for RPD and for Ryan Hunter, I've said enough to them. They know exactly where they stand. And that is in my way, and I'm going to knock them right out my way. My climb to the top is unstoppable, and it will be unforgettable.
Is this the biggest match of your career Saturday night?
Yes, it is. The best night of my career, the biggest night of my career so far.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, these are reasons why you want to follow. For Joe Wynn, I know you said you're going to now tune in and follow Odyssey Pro Wrestling, Joe. So you also, while you're doing that, need to follow Andre Dekker, the unforgettable Andre Dekker. Like his Facebook page, Andre Dekker Wrestler on Instagram as well. Also, Real Dekker on Twitter as well. Because listen, it could be a different climate, a different world for Odyssey Pro Wrestling. And this could be a different trajectory for his career. Because listen, regardless of what he may think of me, regardless of what he may think of the fans in Morecambe, he has a point that these last 8 months, he's been put through a lot by Ethan Edwards and management of Odyssey Pro Wrestling. And he's had all these obstacles. He's dealt with them, and look at where he is right now. And they've delayed the inevitable. And the inevitable could happen here, that the spotlight, That's right, the spotlight could very well be on Andre Dekker because he could be the standard bearer. He could be the guy that's going to lead Odyssey Pro Wrestling into 2022 and beyond. And there's nobody that can stop him because, listen, just like what we said about KOW, where nobody can stop the underclass and Logan and obviously Keenan being the showcase champion and 2-Bit, well, think about Odyssey Pro Wrestling with the spotlight. Chris Brooker and his management skills. I mean, he's arguably on a whole new level. I don't even think Paul Heyman can touch him right now. I mean, we think about Reese and Rogan, just the dominance that they've laid on everybody all throughout the UK scene. And they're going to be in the ring against Synergy. And something tells me that Synergy do not know what they have coming for them. And certainly the unforgettable Andre Dekker here, who very well could be the next Odyssey Pro Wrestling World Champion. So for you, champ, I want to give you the floor. I want to give you any closing thoughts, anything else you want to share, anything else you'd like to plug before we move on here. And actually, I have one more question. I'm going to throw it out there only because Joe Wynn is asking now. He's saying he's going to check Odyssey Pro Wrestling. And he asked you this question. You're open to answering. He says, Dekker, who's your favorite wrestler of all time?
Of all time? As a kid, I was always a fan of The Rock. I like, the charisma and everything. So, yeah. And then also, a side note, it was The Rock and then also the Sandman from ECW. They were like my two go-to favorites. But yeah, my plan is to surpass them. So I'm my own favorite wrestler now.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I guess you must have acting in your future then, right? If you're a fan of The Rock, acting's in the future?
No, none of that. No.
All right. That's fair. I mean, listen, certainly I wouldn't be surprised. And he actually says here, you gained a fan today. I mean, hopefully that means something to you. He's from North Carolina. I mean, we have a reach out there. And,
you must have smarter fans over in America than the idiots in Morecambe and the morons in Barrow. And then where else do I wrestle? The absolute losers. And
Chris Stone has jumped back in here. I don't know how he finds ways to jump into. Every stream I do, I have to
look. Just don't even read the Chris Stone comment. I don't care, Chris Stone.
I bet
whenever someone will pay us enough money, I'll knock you out and we'll have a great time.
I think. Well, I'll answer this for you. I think that Rick Marcus's favorite wrestler is Davey Getzky.
Rick Marcus's favorite wrestler is probably Davey Getzky, but who cares about Rick Marcus? He's been gone since I bashed the champers bottle over his head. So you know what?
I have to say, I was thinking about that. I was like,
Rick Marcus is a thing in the past. I dealt with him. He's done. Screw Rick Marcus. No one cares. Bye, Rick Marcus.
So they're not born. So I guess then they're after Saturday night. They really aren't born ready anymore. They're almost
no. They were. They weren't ready for me, were they?
Well, what would you call them? Well, what would you call them? Dead and buried? Because let's see, RPD, you might get the best of him, and Rick, we haven't seen an Odyssey in I think 4 months now. It's been about 4 months. So
yeah, I mean Rick. Yeah, who knows about Rick?
Who knows?
Look. Who cares? I know the Morecambe fans are saying we want Rick back, and I heard the response at the Rumble when me and Chris did our little prank and we played his little music and
yep. Kevin Owens stole off that prank, by the way, because he did that a few weeks ago on Raw with Stone Cold. So I mean, Kevin Owens
he clearly stole it from.
He clearly was on Power TV. By the way, he clearly. And Joe, this is how you can watch Odyssey Pro. So you go to power.tv, and go and watch Odyssey Pro Wrestling's content. And
or you go on Odyssey Pro Wrestling's Patreon.
I was about to say that
there as well. So
why not?
It's clearly Kevin Owens has been on the Patreon and checked out our stuff, and
he can afford it, right? It's pretty fair to say that
he stole our prank because you know what? It was yeah.
No,
you know what? I wish Rick Marcus a speedy recovery wherever he is.
Oh, that's so nice of you. Listen,
it is, isn't it? And it wasn't personal. Look, Rick got in my business. Look, when I jumped in when I jumped in with RPD after his match, and I cost him against Stan Bailey, as he claims. I just wanted to send a message to him, and straight away, Rick Marcus blindsided me and chased me out of the ring. I had no issue with Rick Marcus until then. So, of course, you mess with me, there are consequences. And the consequences were a big bottle of Moët on the back of your head. So, he's just going to have to deal with that. And I guess he's learned his lesson because he stayed away since, hasn't he?
Yeah, listen, I mean, that's obviously been that's been the issue here. And obviously, again, we also have somebody on Twitter that gave a comment that they're watching on Twitter here. And they gave us I guess a 2 thumbs up in fist style. So I guess certainly, and we've also got a share from Lucy Simons, who's coming back on here. So Lucy's been checking us out here.
Yeah, well, the journalist.
I wasn't gonna read off her predictions because I'm sure that you're gonna. I know you're gonna.
Her very unbiased, ridiculously biased predictions. No.
See, at least
I don't have any interest.
At least I could tell you, Mr. Dekker. At least I'm honest with you. You may not like me, but at least I'm honest. I can tell you that. And I will say also for anybody that wants
in the grass that Lucy Simons is. Yeah.
And I also, before we go, before I get RPD on here next, I do want to also, if you are in the area, and even if you are in Morecambe and you'd like to buy a ticket to War on the Shore, we have tickets available. You can do so by buying a ticket at odysseyprowrestling.co.uk/shop. That's odysseyprowrestling.co.uk/shop. And again, it is a great card. Also, we have matches, like I said, Synergy and Reese and Rogan. That'll also be a part of the spotlight. We have the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera against Wildfire Nate Reese. It is a action-packed card. We have some really, really, really good matches here. And again, I cannot stress enough the great job that everybody at Odyssey Pro Wrestling does here in putting things together. We also have we have Kevin Lloyd against I don't even want to say his name because he's got so many different names at this point, and I guess was a Dark Mark now. I think at this point, I mean, did I get it
Dark
right?
Mark Meltzer.
Did I get it right? At least I got it right this time because I know he messaged me and said I got it wrong last time. So I want to make sure we have that one right, and he has the guiding light Isaiah Quinn in his corner. So I want to make sure we also acknowledge that match here. Also, the Damn It Vince podcast. Also want to acknowledge them for having the back and forth here with the unforgettable Andre Dekker, and also, of course, the natural born fighter, RP Davies. So anything else you want to say here, potentially, champ?
No, I mean, anything more, and I'm going to charge you more money because I've been look, we're on 52 minutes. As soon as we hit the hour, you know how it goes.
I've got a budget, because I've got a budget money for our match with you and Chris Stone. So I've got to make sure that I make sure that...
Exactly. As soon as you hit that hour, I'm bumping it up, mate. So... you're going to have to wrap it up because I'm done here.
All right. So we're going to certainly do that here shortly. And obviously, again, I can't thank everybody enough here for tuning in. And I also want to make sure here that in a few minutes, you will get the opportunity here from the natural born fighter, RP Davies. And I guess at around the 5 o'clock hour Eastern time, which would be 10 o'clock UK time, we will have on the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera. So I'm looking forward to all that. So, champ, I wish you much luck coming Saturday. I hope that you'll have the time to be able to speak with us here once again, one more time, maybe after you potentially win here on Saturday. So I thank you for the opportunity, and I wish you a lot of luck, and I'm going to remove you off the stream because, well, you did say that you're charging us after the hour, so I want to make sure that you don't charge us any further than what you've charged us. So I wish you well, and we'll definitely speak with you soon.
Peace.
All right. And that was the unforgettable Andre Dekker. And ladies and gentlemen, certainly he is somebody that has got a lot to say. A very eventful conversation with him here, as always, on Sportswire Radio. If you like what you hear from us, we are going to be speaking with the natural born fighter, RP Davies, here. And I guess about 30 or so seconds, we're waiting for him. And we also have a comment in here from Chris Stone, and you're better with Nathan Gunn. Well, it's funny you said that, Chris Stone, because coming on tomorrow night, you'll never guess who's coming back on live with us, Chris Stone. That's the scenario, Nathan Gunn. So is there anything you'd like me to ask him for tomorrow? Is there anything that's on your mind with that? So you're certainly going to want to tune in for that for sure. And he is here. The bat signal has been put out, and that is none other than, I got to say it because we just had the unforgettable Andre Dekker. So let me do it, because if I don't do it, I'm going to get in even further trouble than I'm already in. But RPD, RPD, RPD. And for the first time in 2022, we have him on here literally just hours before his big match, the main event, the war on the shore here for the Odyssey Pro Wrestling Heavyweight Championship of the World. That is the Natural Born Fighter, RP Davies. I don't even know how you top what we just heard from the unforgettable Andre Dekker. I'm sure you heard a little bit about what Mr. Dekker had to say.
Yeah, I heard a little bit. I turned it off after a while. He bores me. He talks absolute garbage, doesn't he? So I turned it off. I turned it off. He likes the sound of his own voice too much.
Well, certainly he had a lot to say here, and obviously we'll get into some of that here, and obviously always good to be with you here. Also, congratulations on the new dog. I have to say before anything else, congratulations on the new dog. My first thought was it like one of those, like, remember when we were kids, we had like the little like toy dogs? That was my first thought.
Looks like Gizmo, doesn't he, from Gremlins? So.
That's, I wasn't going to say it because you are the fighter and you are the natural born fighter. I didn't want to say it because I want to put my foot in my mouth, but it did certainly remind me of that. So, that's, and we have a comment here from Chris Stone. You might know Chris Stone. Obviously, he's one half of the tag team champions in the LWF. He says RDD, bro. So I don't know what he means by RDD. Did he mean like ADD, bro? But I don't know what that is. And
probably means RPD. Probably a misspell.
Well, I have to say, he's not a big fan of Andre Dekker. In fact, he actually wants a match with Andre Dekker. So I have to give him credit. He wants me to schedule a match between him and Andre Dekker. So I did shell out some money. I think I could put that together. So
Andre Dekker doesn't have anybody who likes him. That's the thing about Andre Dekker. He's a person.
Well, let's get into that here, because obviously the big match is coming here this Saturday, War on the Shore. Everything comes to a head. It is a triple threat match. And one of the things I said that might give him an advantage here, and tell me your thoughts on how you might maybe deal with this, is the fact that he's got the size here coming into this. Obviously, we'll get into some of your advantages here in a few minutes, but there's no question he's going to use his size and strength here to his advantage to sort of nullify your punching skills and certainly nullify the variety in terms of what the champion Ryan Hunter can do. So from your vantage point, and don't give away the strategy. Don't tell me how you're going to win. Don't tell me anything, but how do you deal with the strategy from the standpoint of the size that the unforgettable Andre Dekker is going to bring to Saturday's main event?
I don't mind, mate. I don't mind giving spoilers away. No, because it's very simple what's going to happen. What's going to happen is very easy. The only thing that his size is going to bring to this table is he's going to make a larger noise when his body crashes into the mat. He'll make a very loud noise when he gets chinned, and he's going to get chinned. Mark my words. Mark my words. On Saturday night, Andre Dekker will be knocked spark out.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen here. I'm not going to quite say it's a guarantee from the natural born fighter RP Davies, but certainly
guaranteed.
Okay. Okay, well, that's certainly fair. And one of the advantages I want to get to, one of the advantages I think you have here in this match, and certainly Mr. Dekker took some umbrage with it, and I can understand why he took some umbrage with it. So I want to be transparent and honest about that, is that you've been a champion before. You've been in the boxing world. You've been in these big matches. You've been in main events. So this is not your first rodeo in this. And I kind of think that from your standpoint, that's going to be your advantage. In the fact that the unforgettable Andre Dekker hasn't quite been a champion to that magnitude. He hasn't been, in no pun intended, the spotlight of something like this before. You've been in this before. For you, this is a walk in the park. You're not going to have any nerves Saturday. You're not going to be nervous. You're not going to have those stomach knots that we all used to have when we had the first day of school on the horizon. But he's going to have, despite what he may say, he has not been in this position. He has not been here in this magnitude. Yes, he has been on a great run. Yes, he has laid wayside to opponents like your friend, Wildfire Nate Reese, your brother in Born Ready, the Cumbrian Outlaw Rick Marcus, obviously Lucas Neon. It's a long list of opponents. The Overboard Rumble itself. But he's not been in this spot before. You have. I think going into Saturday, that is going to be one of your advantages.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being straight with you, Tom, if I'm being straight with you, I think this is the best way to explain it. I am not nervous for this match. I'm very nervous for this match because this is the biggest match of my career too. And yes, I've been doing wrestling. I've been wrestling for 2 years now. You know, we had a lockdown in between all that. That stopped my progress.
I know, we spoke during that. Yep, I know.
Once I've got back to it, I've tried to hit the ground running, and I've been on a roll. And it's been great. Now, yes, I've been in main events, and yes, because of my boxing, I've been fighting for 15 years. You know, I've been doing this for 15 years. Now, I know this is professional wrestling, but I am adaptable. I don't call myself the natural born fighter for any reason. I do it because I think I can adapt to any sort of fighting, any sort of combat I can turn my hand to. I believe that's what I'm about. Now, I am nervous for this match, but this is the difference between me and Andre Dekker. That isn't fear from me. I am not scared of the match on Saturday. That's adrenaline starting to hit my system, knowing that I've got to perform, I've got to step it up, and I will step it up because I've said it before. I do not like Andre Dekker. You know,
he doesn't like you. He does not like you either.
That's fine. That's fine. The guy is a complete turkey, but I have got to give him respect. I've got to give him respect. He is a good wrestler. He's a big lad. He's got power. He has got advantages over me, and he will try and use them on me. But as I have said many times, I'm an adaptable athlete, and I will work my way around him, and I will find my way to knock him spark out, and that will happen. That will happen, and then because that can't be forgotten. Although I get to get my hands finally on Andre Dekker, this has been nearly a year in the making, but finally I get my hands on him. I can't forget about Ryan Hunter, who is a fantastic champion out of Morecambe. He's a fantastic champion and been at this game a lot longer than me. And he's been a professional wrestler a lot longer than me. He's beloved by the fans. He's a fantastic wrestler. But I believe, and again, this is just my belief, I believe I am the best competitor in Odyssey Pro Wrestling. I think I'm the best competitor in British wrestling. And I think I can adapt to anybody in any style, and I will do that on Saturday night. That is what I am about, and that's what I will try and prove on Saturday night. But I am not taking this lightly. I know how important this is. I know how serious it is. Andre Dekker, I will deal with him. Mark my words. That can be an exclusive for you, Tom. On Saturday night, I will sleep him. He will go to sleep. I guarantee you. And then we're going to find out who is the best wrestler in Morecambe. Is it RPD or is it Ryan Hunter? And I'll be honest with you, I'll shake Ryan's hand either way.
Ryan Hunter is a phenomenal wrestler, and certainly Andre Dekker, to his credit, did talk about the fact that he's known him for 10 years and he's trained with him, and he certainly has a way to adapt to that. And I do at least want to get to Chris Stone's comment before I go back and talk about the match. He says, RPD total warrior, hard as nails. Good job for him. He ain't shared a ring with me yet. And I'll tell you what, Chris Stone's on quite a run in the LWF. He is obviously the first ever tag team champion there. And I would love to see that match also. I mean, I would love to see Chris Stone in the ring with natural born fighter RP Davies, because I know one thing. Steve Bibby is not going to make that happen, because the running joke is Steve Bibby pays in hot dogs. So,
going back to Chris, thank you for the compliment, Chris. I have seen and heard a lot about you. Listen, if we can make it happen, Chris, let's make it happen. You know, I'm here to test myself against the best in the country, and if you want to have a go, that let me tell you, that's an honour for me, and I think we should make it happen. Let's see who the man is.
And I want everybody also to give a follow to Chris Stone on his Facebook page, because you know what? All kidding aside, Chris Stone is always on all my streams. He's always watching, and also you got to give him a lot of credit also, because let me tell you something. You're in phenomenal shape, and you're a great, everything else you do. But if you go to Chris_Stone_pro wrestler on his Instagram page, this dude is out there at like 5 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, UK time, out at the gym. I mean, he's like the only person out at the gym. He's literally the entire gym in the UK. So I know Rick is in phenomenal shape, and Rick has obviously put everybody on a whole new path. But ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Chris Stone, because this guy is really transformed himself. He is just on a whole new level, and I would love to see that also. But I want everybody also to follow RP Davies as well on social media, because he is on a whole nother level as well. It's r.p.davis on Instagram. Also Facebook as well, RPD Fighter on Twitter. Also Odyssey Pro Wrestling. You can go to odysseyprowrestling.co.uk/shop to buy tickets for War on the Shore here. Also OPW_UK on Twitter. Instagram and Facebook, also at Odyssey Pro Wrestling. And we have a guest here. Listen, this is the main event here, because we have, of course, the natural born fighter, RP Davis' daughter. I mean, that's the real world champion. That's the real champion here. Listen,
this is the champ. This is the actual champ.
Do you think she's rooting for you, by the way?
Saturday. No. God, that's no good, is it?
You know what that reminds me of? I was watching an interview that The Undertaker did, and his daughter was in the same thing here we did, right? And they asked his daughter who her favorite wrestler was, and you would think it's The Undertaker, right? You know, she says John Cena. So I don't know if her favorite wrestler is Andre Dekker or Chris Stone, but you know. Okay, all right. So clearly she knows who that is, and obviously we have a comment from somebody that you might know of, the natural born fighter, RP Davis. And I don't want to be like the Damn It Vince podcast and not be transparent. And that is the unforgettable Andre Dekker. And here's what the Andre Dekker comment here is for you. He says, "Yeah, his daughter is smart and knows Daddy can't beat Dekker." Now, would you like to address Mr. Dekker here?
If you'd like, yeah. If you'd like,
and I want to put it out there, and I'm actually going to do something that I didn't even think I'm going to say here. I'm going to ask Mr. Dekker, would he like to come back on the stream and share a thought with Mr. RP Davis?
Bring him in. I always like to see Andre.
Okay, well, first address his comment, because I'll bring him back in the stream right now if he'd like to come back in. I'll ask Mr. Dekker that if he'd like to come back in the stream here.
He'll come back on. He's upset.
Okay, then I will actually resend him the invite, because obviously we like what's best for business. But in the meantime, would you like to address his comment?
His comment is, his daughter's smart. I know Daddy can't be Dekker. Sadly, he's wrong, because I love my daughter, but she's also 4-year-old. She's 4-year-old, and so she doesn't know much. But what she will know is when I come home and I send a picture of Andre Dekker flat out on the floor, which is going to happen on Saturday night, then she will know who won that match.
Oh, okay. All right. And he says here, I'm done talking to this clown, but something tells me that maybe Mr. Dekker will come back. So we'll see. We're working on the crack staff to get him back on here, because something tells me that that will be good for business here. So we'll certainly see. I mean, but
if he's still watching, Tom, if he's still watching, put that you can send this back to him. When I did click onto his stream before, he did say,
the Vince podcast. Yep.
Yeah, no, his stream with you. I did watch it. And I just heard him saying that he's going to be taking on the title on Saturday night. And, Well,
I had a question toward that. And speaking about Ryan Hunter, and he talked about the fact that he knows Ryan Hunter well, and he's got the 10 years. He knows everything about it. And he talked about what you kind of also alluded to, your experience. Do you feel like that's something that could potentially be of handicap to you in the wrestling ring? Andre Dekker knows Ryan Hunter better than anybody. You've only been in here a short time. Is that something that maybe is a challenge for you, in the fact that Dekker has the experience, you may necessarily do not?
I think there's definitely a point to that. I think there is definitely a point to that. Dekker, as I said, as a competitor, I do respect him, and he knows Ryan really well. They've grown up together, they've trained together, they've had matches together. I've never actually wrestled against Dekker, and I've never been in a ring and wrestled against Ryan Hunter, and so it is new for me that way. Obviously, they have a lot of familiarity, but at the same time, that's a disadvantage to them. So as much as a disadvantage that is to me, that's a disadvantage to them, because I've said it before, neither of them, for all their experience, they've never come across anybody like me, and they never will, because there is only one me. And on Saturday night, I'm going to prove it.
Let me ask you a question, and I asked the same question to Dekker, and tell me your thoughts on this. And we realize I got about 20 or so minutes with you, but I asked the question to Andre Dekker, and he answered it one way. Let me get your thoughts on how you answer it. In the fact that, listen, you and him, back and forth, no question, right? Everything that's going on between you and him over the past several months. But there's a possibility here that you could not lose this match. Ryan Hunter retains the title. Let's say Ryan Hunter pins Andre Dekker, and conversely, I had said to Andre Dekker that you could be pinned by Ryan Hunter, and Ryan Hunter still walks away and retains his championship. From your standpoint, is that something that concerns you, that maybe you need to keep your eye on the prize here, and the fact that, yes, you and Dekker have been back and forth for almost a year now, but there's a possibility still that Ryan Hunter can kind of sneak through here and retain the championship, and you may not even lose. I mean, you've been in the boxing ring, and it's either you would win, lose, or draw, but there's a possibility you may have none of that and still not be champion, and Hunter walks away from this. I mean, is that a scenario here that you've thought about? And don't tell me how you're going to combat it, but at least, is that something that's in the back of your mind at all?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that is the disadvantage of a triple threat match. You know, I don't necessarily have to be pinned. I don't need to be pinned on Saturday to lose. I don't intend on getting pinned on Saturday. But like you say, could Ryan or Dekker pin each other and I lose the match that way? Yeah, of course that could happen. The way I look at it is I do have a game plan. I do have a game plan of how to combat it. And my game plan's pretty simple. I'm gonna get rid of Dekker as quick as I can. That is the game plan.
We'll certainly see.
I'm on a demolition job. On Saturday. On Saturday, I'm going to knock Andre Dekker out, and then I will focus my attentions to Ryan Hunter. And like I say, I've only got respect for Ryan Hunter. He's a great wrestler, and I want to. You know me, Tom. I want to test myself.
I've known you a long time. I've known you over a year now. I know.
I want to test myself against the best wrestlers in Britain and further afield. Hopefully, one day I'll come over to the USA. But like I say, this match is important to me. I've built a following in Morecambe from the show one, the first show we ever did. Then people got behind me from the very first time I walked out of that curtain, and I remember that, you know, and that has stayed with me, and it means something to me. And so I want to prove myself to them people, and the way I do that is I have to beat the best in Morecambe. Now, the best in Morecambe at this moment in time is Ryan Hunter, and so a bonus to this match is I get to get my hands on Andre Dekker first, and I will get my hands on Andre Dekker. And when that happens, and I get rid of him, and as I say, that isn't you know, some sort of prediction or anything. That is a spoiler. That is a spoiler for you. I am going to get rid of Andre Dekker. And when I do,
ladies,
then we're going to find out.
Ladies and gentlemen, a bomb has been dropped here on Sportswire Radio, to say the least here. The natural-born fighter, RP Davies, is going to have a demolition job, and he is going to get rid of the unforgettable Andre Dekker. And we have a few more comments in here. And, of course, DB Broadcasting from the Sit-Down Marks, who, of course, follow me Friday nights.
Great guy.
Great guy. You've been on his show in the past, and he says, RPD, new champ. Cheers, fellas. And love the Sit-Down Marks. Also want to congratulate them because, well, it's their 1-year anniversary that recently passed. And, well, I don't know if you know this, DB, but I'm actually wearing a Sit-Down Mark shirt right now. So I'm actually wearing I probably should have advertised that like an hour and a half ago, but I just didn't do that. So that's my fault. My apologies, guys. But thank you for all you do for us on Sportswire Radio. And of course, Chris Stone has a comment in here and knock Dekker out for pleasure. So he doesn't like Andre Dekker. I didn't realize that Chris Stone didn't like Andre Dekker. I mean, I would never have guessed that. I would just never have guessed that Chris Stone and Andre Dekker didn't get along. Do you know anything about this? Because I did, and I thought I knew something about wrestling, and I didn't know this.
I'd heard whispers, but yeah, Chris, it's a deal, mate. It's a deal. I'll 100% do it.
Oh yeah, I guess. Listen, I mean, that like I said, I have the money on the table. I'll put the money out there. I mean, if somebody wants to make that happen, I'd be happy to do that here. And of course, if you like what you hear from us on Sportswire Radio, please do give us a like on Facebook at Sportswire Radio. And 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, you can listen to all of our great content on sportnarium.com/player. Also, Odyssey Pro Wrestling, please do give them a follow. OPW_UK on Twitter, Odyssey Pro Wrestling, Twitter and Facebook. Also, odysseyprowrestling.co.uk/shop. Tickets are still available for War on the Shore to see the natural born fighter, RP Davies. Also, Patreon. We've got a Patreon page for Odyssey Pro Wrestling where we can vote on things. We can see content. We can see wrestling from the natural born fighter, RP Davies. Also, please follow him as well, r.p.davis on Facebook, on Instagram, also on Twitter, RPD Fighter. So make sure you follow all those channels. And I've got a comment in here from DP Broadcasting. He says here, thank you, Thomas. It was great on you. I'm glad that you feel that way as well. And also, we got another about 10 or so minutes. We'll hear from the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera. You've been in the ring here with him, so I almost have to ask you, what are we in for when it comes to the Playboy Prince Lance Revera? Because this is the first time I'm speaking with him live. So what should I look for here in about 10 or 15 minutes from him?
An experience. Lance is all on he's a man all of himself, and he's full of himself. He's brash. He's all these things, but he's also incredibly talented. And
I'm looking forward to him. I'm really, really looking forward to this.
I've shared the ring with him, and I've got nothing but respect for him. Nothing but respect.
Absolutely, and so do we here, and I'm looking forward to his match here against Wildfire Nate Reese. And also wanted to touch upon very quickly your feud with Sona Durson that came to a head finally last month. I mean, congratulations there, but I know something that's going to be a feud that's going to be, no question, remembered for a long time, and something tells me that you and Sona Durson one day will be together again.
100%. I mean, the battles I've had with Sona over the last few months have been I think, quite career defining already. It's something that, as I said to you before, I want to wrestle the best in the country. Sona, without doubt, is one of the best in the country. And yeah, we've had some wars, and so. Like I say, that last one, particularly the street fight, was something special. And I was fortunate enough to come away with a victory. And I do think that's put me on a new trajectory going forward. And I'm excited. That's why that's kind of given me confidence more for this title match on Saturday as well. It's like it's shown that I can belong, and I can certainly compete and win at this level.
Almost cue the Linkin Park "Somewhere I Belong" song here. And also, yeah. I have a comment from somebody I know very well. I at least wanted to read that off, and maybe he'll give you a prayer or two. And that is, of course, the Reverend Timothy McAldo, who used to actually be one of my customers on my paper route, who actually used to live right down the street from me. And he was a huge Dallas Cowboys fan and a huge sports fan. He says, Thomas, the man, I'm coming back to the New York, New Jersey area. Get me on the show, and we'll definitely work on that. And he also wants me to talk about his baseball days back in the late 70s, early 80s. And Reverend, definitely message me on LinkedIn. Definitely give me a message, and I'll definitely make sure that we'll make that happen. I was kind of wondering about you, actually. I passed by the old house, and it's never the same. He's actually just been thinking about you all the time. So I'm obviously glad the family as well. Many blessings. Thank you for all your support. And also a comment here very quickly. I don't want to reveal who the individual is, but he says here, the man, the myth, the legend, RPD. We won't reveal who that individual is, but we might know who he is. But we'll certainly, I have a feeling, be speaking to somebody close to that individual here in a few minutes.
He sounds a particularly cool dude.
Yeah, he's somebody I'm really excited for. All I can say is he's definitely a very cool guy here, to say the least. But I want to ask you also on some other companies real quick. I know KOW we've been a part of late. We have ALP that's going to come on here next week. Lucy's coming back on Tuesday, and also of course TNT and Wrestle Island. So give me a quick update on some of those, and also maybe that birthday serenation that took place in KOW, from what I heard. I don't want to say too much more, but give us a quick update before we get into all that.
I made my debut at Knockout, which I was really honoured to do. I got invited down to perform at a Knockout, and I had a great match with Brian Edison. Phenomenal fans, again, great crowd, and got off to a winning start. And so, that's given me a load of confidence, because that's got a place kind of enriched with history and whatnot. And to go down there and the crowd react to me the way they did, straight away was phenomenal. TNT is a thing that's just building for me. It's just building and building and building. And, that feud with Sonna, I think, has certainly helped put me on the map, even more so to wrestling fans in Britain. And I'm just looking forward to see where that can go now. After a big win like that, I'm just hoping to see where I can go. Wrestle Island, a phenomenal company. I've always talked to you about them.
Yep.
It's an honour to wrestle for them, because yes, they're a phenomenal wrestling company. They've got some unbelievable talent, but what they've also do for the communities and the charity work they do is sensational. And as I've said to you, that means something to me. And at this stage in my life, that's what I can kind of do with wrestling, and actually feel like I'm making some sort of difference, which people like Pete, who runs Wrestle Island, allow me to do. And I can only thank him for that. So that's great. And then the other one is the Kingdom of Wrestling, which is again a phenomenal startup company. I've done 2 shows with them now, both been brilliant. Crowd been
We had one last month, and we had the first one in November. Correct me if I'm wrong.
First one in November, yeah, I think that's right. And then one last month. Yep. And it was both great. Again, crowds are amazing, talent's phenomenal, and yeah, I think I've made a very positive impact going forward straight away there. So yeah, they all link, because although they're separate companies, the role I've been on since we came back from the lockdowns and everything has been phenomenal, and they've all built through these companies, and every little piece have come together like a giant jigsaw, and it's led me to this match on Saturday. So although they're different and they're different companies, and I'm doing different things with all of them, it's all kind of this momentum that's built and built and built and built. And it's brought me to this moment on Saturday, and I do believe in destiny. I do believe in destiny. I've said that to you before, and I feel like the reason it didn't work out in boxing for me now was because it was meant to work out in wrestling. I was meant to be here, and I've I had a very good career in boxing that got cut short. I've had the great privilege to jump straight over, into something else I've got so much passion for, something I've been a fan of since I've been a little kid, and to be able to come over and succeed in it has been a real, genuinely one of the best things I've ever done in my life. And so I just want to see it through now. I want to see how far, and that's how I've always been in anything I do. When I'm in, I'm fully in. I'm all in, and I want to see how far I can get.
No question that I have a good feeling you'll get even farther. And of course, Davey Getsky, who we always see on our streams with the Sarah Nathan Gunn, he chimes in and says that he wants a match with it. I think everybody tonight wants matches with each other. We had Andre Dekker and Chris Stone. We had Chris Stone and RP Davies. We got Davey Getsky and RPD. I'm almost waiting at this point. Who doesn't want a match with each other? We're going to have Lance Revera on here in a few minutes. I'm sure Wildfire Nate Reese is going to jump in there because he's got a match with him Saturday. I mean, it seems like we've become like the brouhaha for everything in professional wrestling, in pro wrestling.
Yeah, some great feuds getting set up all the time. But like I say, I know Davy's a phenomenal wrestler.
He's in phenomenal shape. And all kidding aside, he's one half of the tag team champion, the LWF. I mean, he's transformed himself. I mean, like, honestly, like, I don't recognize him from when I first spoke to him like 9 months ago to where he is now. He's like on a whole new level.
He looks phenomenal. He looks phenomenal. But like I say, I'm not a hard man to find by anybody.
Well, listen, and we have even somebody from here in the States, Joe Wynn, says he wants a match with everybody, Hell in the Cell style. So we've got even Americans now who want matches with you. I mean, like I said, I don't know who else is out there. I mean, somebody else I'm sure is listening.
Well, can I just say, when I tuned in to Dekker's podcast before, Joe was on. Joe came on a couple of times.
Yep, Joe was on.
Joe talks a lot of sense. I like Joe. Straight away, Joe can see. He can see through the absolute bullshit that he comes out with. And so, Joe, you are a friend of mine. I like you, mate.
Well, Dekker, I think Dekker was kind of caught off guard. I mean, to be fair, like I think Dekker and I were like, we didn't know, and then Dekker kind of got it, and then kind of it's Dekker. So what can I say more than other than that?
Not the bride.
So Joe says, "Can I get the match?" Then yeah, I guess Joe. I mean, I think you're gonna have to get in line though, because we got Davey Gadsky, we got Chris Stone, and we got stuff in KOW for sure that's ahead. And I know our time is coming to an end here with you in a few minutes, and I want to get to Lance Revera. So let me ask you two questions before we get closing thoughts. The first question is, what do you want to say to anybody that's coming Saturday night to buy a ticket? And also, what do you want to say, your final word? This is the last words you're going to have to Andre Dekker and to the champion, Ryan Hunter. So I'm going to ask that to you. What do you want to say to anybody who's coming Saturday night to watch you? And what do you want to say for your final words to the unforgettable Andre Dekker and the current champion, Ryan Hunter?
Okay, well, to everyone who's come in to watch the show, all I can say is thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, from the people who've bought tickets from myself and from the actual fans in Morecambe. Thank you. You've been behind me for a long time now, and don't think I've never not seen it, because I do see it, and that's why I keep doing this, and that's why I put so much effort and try so hard to succeed in it. And I just feel like everything is built to this moment, and I just feel like it's destiny that I lift that title on Saturday night. And when I do, that's for them people. That's why I'm doing it. I do it for them. And so thank you so much for coming, and I hope you enjoy the show. And we're going to have a big celebration afterwards.
Let me ask you then this last question, and I asked the same question to Andre Dekker, so I'll see if you answer it differently. But Saturday night could be a different natural-born fighter, RP Davies, and the fact that you could now have the gold around your waist. This would be your first world championship in wrestling. We know in boxing that you've been a world champion, but Saturday night, right around this time, I guess, 10 o'clock, you could very well be having gold around your waist. You could be the standard bearer, the flag bearer for Odyssey Pro Wrestling. This could be a totally different chapter in your career. Forget about the boxing career. Forget about all that stuff. We could now be speaking about you as a world champion. So I have to ask you this question then. Saturday night, you win this match. You're the world champion. You're the Odyssey Pro Wrestling world champion. What would that mean to you to be the world champion Saturday night?
Genuinely, it would mean everything to me. It would mean everything to me, because God, it's been a a long road to get here now, and to train up to become a wrestler, to jump from what I was doing. I had something in mind of what I wanted to do in the boxing, and that kind of got snatched away from me. I had a bit of a hiatus from any sort of physical sport or anything like that, and then I got this second chance, and that's what this is. It's a second chance. I've put everything I've got into it, and I think the people of every company you just mentioned, by the way, I think the crowds see that in me, and I think that's why they get behind me, because I think they see how much I want this and how much I'm willing to fight for it, and I think that's like an intangible quality to me that not a lot of people have, because it's the reasoning of why I'm doing this. This isn't for money, and it isn't for sort of kind of self-satisfaction of me being able to become a professional wrestler. It's for glory. I have come here for glory because I felt like that got taken from me. The chances that I would have had to maybe do better as I'd have gone further in my boxing career, that went, and this is my second chance to prove my worth as a fighter, as a man, as everything I am. And so, yeah, it will mean the world to me on Saturday. And I'm just very, very excited. I can't wait to get in there and let the bell ring. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is going to be a main event for the ages. Forget about WrestleMania 38. Forget about Brock and Roman. Forget about everything you see between Hangman Page and Adam Cole, baby. I got a feeling that the unforgettable Andre Dekker, the natural born fighter, RP Davies, and Ryan Hunter, the current champion of Odyssey Pro Wrestling, is going to be a bigger main event, a better championship match than both of those championship matches potentially could be combined. These are reasons why you also want to follow Odyssey Pro Wrestling. Cannot stress this enough. Twitter, OPW_UK, Facebook, Instagram. Please like them on anytime at Odyssey Pro Wrestling. Also, the Natural Born Fighter, RP Davies. R.P.Davies on Facebook and Instagram. RPD Fighter on Twitter as well. Also, odysseyprowrestling.co.uk /shop. You can still buy a ticket or two. They're still available. Also, Patreon, Odyssey Pro Wrestling. Please go to their page. Power TV. I mean, you've got so many great places to watch the natural born fighter, RP Davies. Even if you're like me in New York that can't go see War on the Shore, you can still check it out. And also, always excited to speak with the natural born fighter, RP Davies. So, Champ, I know that you're a busy man, so I want to give you the floor. I want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you want to say? Any social media we missed? Anything else on your mind? And I can't thank you enough for giving this opportunity. So the floor is yours, and fire away, my friend.
In terms of social media, I think you plugged everything that you're the best. You're the best pipe man I've ever known, my friend. By far. You are the best promoter.
Well, you know what? To be fair, Andre Dekker even said that the intro for him was actually good. In his own way, he said it was good. So, I mean, I have to say, you acknowledged it.
You are not good, Tom. You are phenomenal. So yeah, thank you for the support you always give me, mate. Thank you for getting me out there and helping me kind of spread what I'm trying to do here. As for the match, just excited to test myself against Ryan. I'm excited to test myself against Dekker. I'm coming for it. That's it. That is my final. That's my final word. I'm coming for it. This matters to me, and I am going to give it everything I've got on Saturday. And I truly believe it's going to be enough, and I'm going to walk out with that title over my shoulder.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, there is definitely a chance. There is definitely a strong possibility that the natural born fighter, RP Davies, could walk away and become the Odyssey Pro Wrestling World Champion. So, ladies and gentlemen, very, very excited to be speaking here about the card here on Saturday. I also want to thank Odyssey Pro Wrestling one more time, and I'm looking forward to speaking KOW next week. And I'm sure with ALP, I'm going to get a lot into with you also being a part of that roster and everything else. And, of course, Lucy Simons, much, much more. So, Champ, I know you're a busy man. I know you got a new door. You got your daughter there in the background. So we don't want to keep it any further than we have. And I can't thank you enough for all of your support over the past few years and everything that you've done for us. And I just hope that you'll have some time for us if you potentially win Saturday. Because with Dekker, it was like, well, I don't know, and I'm going to be on BBC and everything else. So I can't thank you enough, my friend, and we'll speak with you soon.
Thomas, I'll always have time for you. Thank you so much, and thank you for anyone who's listening. Cheers, guys, and I'll speak to you after that.
Absolutely. And that was the natural born fighter, RP Davies here, who's just hours away from his main event at War on the Shore for the Odyssey Pro Wrestling World Championship here against the unforgettable Andre Dekker, the 2022 Overboard Rumble winner, and also here the current champion, Ryan Hunter. I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce, and we are now going to bring on here the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera, who's going to be in action against Wildfire Nate Reese. So I'm looking forward to doing that. So we're going to do that right now here, and we have him on here for the first time. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a big deal for us. I mean, forget about having the unforgettable Andre Dekker on here. Forget about having the natural born fighter, RP Davies, on here. We got the main course here. We got everything else here, and that is you, my friend. And first of all, thank you for joining us. We know you're a busy man, and how the hell are you?
I'm not too bad. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and first of all, it is a tremendous honor to have you. I've been following your in-ring work here for quite a while, and I know it's. Oh no, I've been following you, and obviously, Wildfire Nate Reese, who likes to talk, he spoke quite a bit about you, and we're going to speak a lot about your match with him here coming up on Saturday. So, set the tables first, because I know that you've heard a number of things that Wildfire Nate Reese has had to say about you over the past few weeks, and for an audience that may be hearing of you the first time, for those that might be watching you and have heard of you, and obviously for the Odyssey Pro Wrestling universe, I mean, your reactions to what Wildfire Nate Reese has had to say about you over the past few weeks.
Well, look, man, he just can't keep my name out of his mouth, can he? He wants that 15 minutes of fame, and he's looking for someone who can give it to him. And do you know what? That's what I do. I bring out the best in people. I always do it. It's what I do. I turn up, I bring up the match of the night, and that's what he wants. He's turning up. He keeps chatting about me. He won't keep my name out of his mouth. And look, come Saturday, he's going to regret it. He might have the best match on the show. He might have his name up in lights, but that 15 minutes of fame only lasts so long.
Well, that's why they call it 15 minutes of fame here. Funny you said that about match of the night. Now, I want to get a couple of your thoughts on this, because obviously you're aware of the fact that Wildfire Nate Reese had quite a match against the unforgettable Andre Dekker, who could walk away and become the Odyssey Pro Wrestling World Champion here. He's also in a tag team match against the Freak Show, and he's definitely made a name for himself here quite a bit. And are you maybe concerned to the fact that he might be using you as a stepping stone to maybe get his foot in the door and maybe, I don't want to say revive his career, but maybe put himself another notch, is certainly when it comes to Odyssey Pro Wrestling? I mean, give me your thoughts on some of that.
Hey, man, if he wants to use me as a stepping stone, that's absolutely fine. But he's barking up the wrong tree. He's stepping on the wrong stone. Because you can step all over me all you like, but it won't change the fact that come the end of the night, that stone's going to sink and he's going to be left neck deep in water.
How much have you gone back and certainly maybe watched the match that he had with Andre Dekker to maybe kind of prepare in your own way for the match here this Saturday?
You've always got to be studying, haven't you? You've always got to know where the lay of the land. You've got to know where you're going with things. So I've had a good look at things. I've got to keep my tactics to myself, though. Do you know what I mean?
And we have a comment from a guy, Joe Wynn, who's been with us here pretty much the whole stream here. And I want to give Joe credit, but I want to get your thoughts on this comment. He's calling you the UK version of Lance Bass, who was in sync, obviously. I mean, you have a thought or two on that? Because that's a comment from a fan here.
Man, that's absolutely fine. I can take that. They were over. They were over back in the day.
I was going to say, they had a record that sold like 2 million records in 1 week. So, I mean, in one sense, I would want their bank account.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. I'll take it. I'm more than happy to take it. Nice one, Joe. Nice one.
Yeah, Joe, it seems like I think everybody likes Joe tonight. First, Andre Dekker, he won Andre Dekker over, which is certainly tough in itself. And the natural born fighter, RP Davies, was very happy, and you seem to be happy. So
I don't think he means it as a compliment, but hey, I'll roll it whichever way I need to.
Well, listen, you got to roll with the punches. That's I guess one way to look at it here. But for those that are hearing from you the first time, and let's say like a Joe Winton here, what got you into professional wrestling and obviously got you into having the success that you've had here so far?
Do you know what? It all started when I was little. I used to watch WWE back in the day with my brother. I always used to gravitate towards The Rock. I've got a VHS right in front of me, actually, of the first wrestling VHS I ever had. It's the Rock Know Your Role.
Okay.
But yeah, that's where it all started. Was growing up watching WWE and WWF. Is when over here we got it on Sky. And yeah, that's what I grew up watching. That's how I got into it. And then as you get older, it takes on a life of its own, and eventually you just go, do you know what? I'll give it a go. You're just a fan that takes it a bit too far, aren't you? Really?
Well, I mean that's you almost have to do it that way. I mean, listen, I mean, in order to make the jump, that you have to do that, and obviously you've definitely done that, to say the least. And when it comes to maybe some of the wrestlers in the UK, obviously we hear WWE and such, who were some of the wrestlers that maybe helped you when it came to obviously making that step into training? Because I always think that's important to acknowledge some of our local wrestlers here.
So for me, the biggest influence on myself when I first started was the fantastic Matt Fox.
Sure.
He helped.
Very well.
He helped train me over in Runcorn and Winsford. So that he's always been a big influence on me. And then in most recent times, it's I've trained with Zach Gibson, James Drake, and then more recently Sam Bailey and Chris Ridgway.
Oh, Chris Ridgway! I mean, everybody talks about Chris Ridgway here. I almost have to ask you: did you see the match with Chris Ridgway and 2-Bit? Did you see that match over at the end of the year last year?
I did. Yes, I did. I was there for it. It was an absolutely stellar match. It was unbelievable.
I almost have to say I would not have wanted to have topped that match right afterwards. I mean, I mean, 2-Bit. We spoke about 2-Bit here quite a bit in the past, but I almost feel like that put him on like another level. So that was definitely. I'm sure you were glad you didn't have to follow up that match.
No, I was. Well, I can follow up any match. I'm the Playboy Prince for a reason, but I was
right.
glad
But I
I
mean, literally right after that match. My point was that was literally.
Yeah, no, I'm glad I didn't have to follow that. That was It was in awe, really. I was sat watching it actually, and it was a cracking match. It was it did take it, just the stars aligned perfectly. It was unbelievable.
We first spoke about you, I want to say maybe about 6 or so months ago, and obviously that was with the natural born fighter RP Davies, who just came on here, and he had a match with
He
you.
loves talking about me.
He was talking about you, yeah, but that's why I wanted to bring this back to him, because it's, in a way, it always, I guess, it revolves around RPD, but we've known him for a while because our radio station here, Sportswire, used to be a boxing station, so we're familiar with UK coverage and stuff, and that's how we got involved with him. But you had a match with him, and a lot of people felt that was the match of the night, and something tells me that the match you're going to have with Wildfire Nate Reese is going to be the match of the night. But talk to me about that match and being in the ring with RP Davies and what that was like.
Being in the ring with RPD is a different experience. It's a strange one. It was me against Scotty Rourke and against RPD, and he's a different breed because he's a boxer, and it's strange because you spend all these years wrestling wrestlers, and then coming to someone who is moving across from boxing to wrestling. It's a whole different ball game.
Absolutely, whole new ball game. And I'm curious about this before I plug some of your social media here. But as a wrestler, because obviously you're not a boxer, but do you feel in a sense that RP Davies maybe had to work a little harder to prove that, hey, you know what? I'm not just this boxer guy that was this champion, and I had some success, but for whatever reason, things didn't work out. But now I'm going to wrestling because, that's what people do. You see it all the time. And did you feel that he had to work maybe harder, a little extra, maybe to prove himself than even maybe somebody that didn't have any experience at all?
Well, it's just a case of you've always got to work hard when you get into wrestling, but coming with a reputation like that as well, you have got a bit more to prove about yourself, because you might get a bit dismissed. There's always that boxer guy, but RPD has really stepped into his own and really shown everyone what he can do. and show why he is a real top talent.
Absolutely, no question about that here. And of course, we're speaking with a top talent here. That is the Playboy Prince Lance Revera for the first time. And I want everybody, ladies and gentlemen, to give him some follow and love on social media. You can do that first on Twitter, Lance_Revera. That is Revera. So make sure you spell it correctly. Also, Instagram, same thing. YouTube, same thing. Also, like his Facebook page, the Playboy Prince Lance Revera, because something tells me, again, this is a guy, you've seen him all over the place in a number of different companies, also like Wrestle Island as well. We just spoke about Wrestle Island with the natural born fighter, RP Davies. So something tells me here, really, really excited about that. We're also going to see him in some other companies as well here. Britannia Wrestling Promotions also. So there's some other companies out there that we're going to definitely see him a huge part of. He's always training very, very hard here. So Future Shock Pro Wrestling, we're also going to see him in the ring here. And speaking of that, I also want to bring that up because I know there's some other companies out there, and I'll get back to Wildfire and Reese because we're going to speak with him in a little while. But you are going to be in action this Sunday. So right after Wildfire and Reese, no pressure, right? You're going to be in action here with 2-Bit. And 2-Bit, I've known 2-Bit for a long time, and we just spoke about 2-Bit, obviously, with his match against Chris Ridgway. So set the tables for us and what we can expect here at Future Shock Pro Wrestling this Sunday with you and 2-Bit against Joe Kessler and Ethan Kelly.
Well, it's going to be a stellar match, I can already tell you that. It's my debut for Future Shock, so that's a big deal within itself. I'm making my presence known to the Future Shock faithful. This is the first time they're going to see me in that Future Shock ring, and, well, as you always know, when I'm there, you got to prepare yourself for a real show.
What does that mean to you to be at a company like Future Shock? Because, Future Shock, I speak with a lot of different wrestlers about. Future Shock, it's always being a Future Shock is like being almost like being like a professional, like a WWE. It's almost in a sense. So, what does that mean to you then for the first time to wrestle at Future Shock?
It's a big deal. It's always been something I wanted to do. It's one of the biggest promotions in the Northwest. It's something that I've always kept my eye on as well ever since I first started wrestling, and even before that, it's Future Shock I used to look at when I was just a fan. So it is a big deal for me to be on Future Shock for the first time this Sunday.
And you have to talk to me, I'm sure, about the fact that you're happy you're on 2-Bit's side, not rather against him, because the run that 2-Bit has been on, and I've had 2-Bit on, I think, 3 or 4 times, and I never know if he's going to put the rat trap on me, because I never know what mood 2-Bit's going to be in. So, I mean, I'm sure you're happy that you're on the same side as 2-Bit this time.
Of course, yeah. No, I couldn't have asked for a better partner than 2-Bit. He is on one incredible run at the moment. He's just joined Northwest Strong, and I couldn't have asked for a better partner than 2-Bit to walk into Sunday with.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that as well, and all the great things that Future Shock has a part of it. Another company I want to mention before I get back into Odyssey, and that is the Kingdom of Wrestling. And obviously, that is a company that we've spoke about here quite a bit in the past. We have a number of friends here that have been a part of that company. So I wanted to ask you about the Kingdom of Wrestling, your experiences there also, as I know that you were in action there. Last week, you were in action with Stacey Rose in a mixed tag match against Jack Barron and Jenny B. And speak to me about that match, and obviously also everything there that you were trying to, I guess, were you trying to win over Jenny B? I mean, kind of set the tables there for us. I mean, I'm sure every girl wants to be with you at this point, but I mean, you
was
are the
say,
Playboy Prince.
I didn't feel like I had to do much winning over. It's just I just stand there, and it's just my natural charisma. It brings people to me. It's just what happens. Exactly, I'm here. It's brought you to me, and now we're live.
Charisma. I won't lie. I mean, I'm not interested in you that way, but you do have charisma. I will.
There you go.
I'll be honest. I'm not into you that way, but certainly you do have charisma. I will definitely. That's why I wanted to have you on. I have to say it now that I'm out. Now that I have you, I have wanted to have you. I have wanted to. I think I may have messaged you like 4 or 5 months ago. I know I did message you once before, but I have wanted you to certainly been on this show for a long time. It's been something that's been in the works. In fact, I think I spoke about you with RPD once. I'm like, Lance Revera, what do you think about Lance Revera coming on? So I have been wanting you on for a while, to be fair.
Well, I'm a hard man to get hold of. I'm always busy. I'm always doing something. If you're on my socials, if you're watching what I'm doing, I'm always busy, always doing something.
I know.
So
I'm always on your socials. I have to say, your Facebook page. I didn't realize this, but I always followed you on Facebook, but I realized I had followed you on Facebook for like I think since the beginning of Odyssey. So yeah, I just
there
realized
we go.
now. So that's all works out there. Listen, and to be fair, I can't blame you as to why maybe Jenny B you'd be interested in, or Jenny B would be interested in you, because obviously we know her from the LWF, and she is obviously the LWF champion there. So certainly, I can't blame you for all that there as well. So certainly,
Well,
you know,
unfortunately, she did use it against me this time, and obviously they got the win.
she'll regret that
Definitely.
though. Trust me, she'll regret that though.
There you
That'll
go.
be
There
one.
you go.
In golf, the expression is that's a mulligan for her. That is certainly a big mulligan for her. I can assure you that that's something that she will also want to maybe forget. And I also know that we're going to be a part of Wrestle Island coming up here May 29th. You want to talk about that maybe
Yes.
for a bit?
It's one of the biggest matches of my career. It is me versus Warren Banks for the Wrestle Island Championship. So obviously, May 29th, we're walking away with it. We're making no mistakes. We're leaving Wrestle Island as officially number one. We're going to leave with the Wrestle Island Championship, and I'm going to have the biggest after party the world's ever seen. So if you want to fly over, you're more than welcome to come.
It's funny you said about parties, because why do I feel like everything revolves in my life either around parties or British professional wrestlers? Because a very good friend of ours is the scenario Nathan Gunn. And the legend is that Nathan Gunn is the guy that has the ladies. I mean, he gets the ladies like if you saw them on the street, they're like 12s out of 10s. That's all I could say. He's the guy that everybody, and he apparently was a singer at one point. He likes to beat around the bushes, but apparently
he's done it all.
Yeah, well, that's what they say. I don't know how well you know the scenario, Nathan Gunn, but apparently it sounds to me like you may throw better parties than him. That's what it sounds like.
Hey, you said it, not me.
Okay, well, I'm going to deal with that tomorrow night. I have him on tomorrow night, so I'm going to deal with that for sure. So, but
you said it, not me.
Oh, that's true. So I hung myself, which is to your credit. So, but I'll get to Nate Reese because I do want to get to him. But I want to talk about Wrestle Island for a second because this is a big deal, right? For you to be a world champion, and you just heard me speak about RP Davies and Andre Dekker and them, what it would mean to them to be a world champion. But in this stage of the game for your career, right, to be a world champion, and this is something that people would die for, right? People would love to be a world champion. Yet you, so soon in your career, at such a young age, could accomplish something that Andre Dekker has never been a world champion. He's never been in a match of this magnitude. RPD is certainly seasoned in the boxing world, but not yet here. There's a number of wrestlers. Wildfire Nate Reese, as an example, has not had that success or that opportunity in a very, very long time. But you have an opportunity here to do something pretty special, and that's to be the Wrestle Island World Champion coming up here, May the 29th. How much have you thought about something like that?
It's always something that you think about. It's always been something you think about from the very start. So we're 7 years deep now, and by the time the May 29th comes around, there'll be 23. So to do it this early on, at 23, to be world champion of Wrestle Island would be well, but obviously it's going to be a big deal. And when it happens, look, I'll make history. I'll be the youngest Wrestle Island champion. I'm a former 2-time tag champion, a former mid-card champion in one promotion. And it's time to just complete the set. It's time to round it all off and walk away with the title.
Let me ask you a question, and it's sort of similar to the question I asked Andre Dekker, and the fact that, yes, you've been a champion, you've been in some big matches, you definitely have an accomplished resume, no doubt. But do you feel like May 29th rolls around, let's say you become the Wrestle Island World Champion, will it be a different Playboy Prince, Lance Revera? Do you feel like your career will be different? Will you look at things differently? Will you be looked upon differently? Give me your thoughts to that.
I think I might be looked upon differently. I think I'll be taken more seriously. But the outlook will still be the same. I'll still want more. It doesn't stop there. The hard work doesn't stop once you get to the top. It just continues and it gets harder. So by the time the 29th of May comes round and I become Wrestle Island champion, it will then on to the next target to then be a dual champion. So then we'll be looking at winning the tournament that Kingdom of Wrestling have set up. So that will be the next target to then be the king and the champion at the same time.
Why not? Listen, I mean, you have to start somewhere. And Joe Wynn says, from pop star to world champion. Yeah, I guess, right? Because we started the conversation. He said you were like the Instincts version of Lance Bass, and now you'd be a world champion. So, yeah, I guess technically that would be the case. So, I mean, certainly that is the possibility here to be a world champion. And again, that takes place May the 29th against Warren Banks, the current champion. So, obviously, really, really looking forward to that here, to say the least. And also, talk to me about TNT Wrestling, because TNT Wrestling, I mean, like TNT is just blown up, and obviously we've seen a number of big stars there, even worldwide stars that have been a part of that company of late. So, talk to me about TNT.
TNT is a great promotion. It's amazing to work for them. Getting to wrestle for the Odyssey title on TNT back in January was fantastic. Obviously, having my issues with Simon Hill there, that's where that all starts.
I'm going to get to that next. I clearly you stole my thunder, because I was going to get to that next.
Look, we're all great minds think alike. But then obviously then getting to work on Ignition a number of times against Ryan and against Aurora Tevez, and then working against Lucy Sky as well, most recently. It's a great place to work, and obviously it's a great place to showcase what I can do. And at this point, I've become the pre-show stopper, the VIP superstar, Lance Revera. I'm making the VIP show my very own, and it's starting to sell really well. And the people are coming in for the VIP show because I'm very important, and I am. You have to pay extra to see me. Do you know what I mean?
Like, I had to pay this much to get you. I mean, I had to pay all this money here to get you. I mean, we get to.
There you go. I don't come cheap.
No, listen, that's for sure. And I'm gonna not quite show my age, but I'm going to show my age a little bit older than you. That you would have been perfect for. There was a show called VIP, and well, Pamela Anderson was obviously the star of the show, and you would have fitted perfectly into that. I mean, you probably, I'm sure, would have liked to have been in bed with Pamela Anderson, like all of us. Maybe not now, not so much now the way she looks, but at least 20 years ago. So that was definitely a show I used to watch all the time. And I forget who her co-stars were, but they were all like smoking hot. So obviously, there's no question that you're the Playboy Prince. You would have fitted in like really well with the VIP.
They
would have definitely loved you, and I'm sure Pamela Anderson would have said "Frig Kid Rock" and "Frig Tommy Lee." She would have just had you instead, and that would have just
exactly. You even are they when I'm around.
Exactly. They would have been like who, Tommy who, and Kid who. Forget it. They would have just had you, to say the least here. And obviously we are talking all things related here to the world of professional wrestling with pro wrestling star here, Lance Revera. And again, cannot stress this enough. Please give him a follow on all his social media channels. YouTube, Lance Revera. Twitter, Lance_Revera. Instagram, Lance_Revera. That is Revera. Also, his Facebook page, The Playboy Prince, Lance Revera. I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce. And if you like what you hear from us on Sportswire Radio, please give us a like on Facebook at Sportswire Radio. And 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, you can listen to all of our great content on sportnarium.com/player. And I want to thank everybody again from Odyssey Pro Wrestling for granting us the opportunity to speak with the unforgettable Andre Dekker, the natural-born fighter RP Davies, and of course also the Playboy Prince Lance Revera. It is always an honor to be speaking all things related to Odyssey Pro Wrestling. And if you like what you hear from us from Odyssey Pro Wrestling, please give them a like on Facebook at Odyssey Pro Wrestling, Instagram at Odyssey Pro Wrestling, Twitter OPW_UK, and also if you have a chance and you want to buy a ticket to watch the Playboy Prince Lance Revera and Wildfire Nate Reese, go to odysseyprowrestling.co.uk/shop because there are still just a few tickets available. You're going to want to see this match. Something tells me this very well could be the match that steals the show. This could be like an Edge and AJ Styles kind of match. It's just going to steal the match. It's going to be just steal the show. It just something tells me here that that's going to be the case. Also, Patreon Odyssey Pro Wrestling. That's where you can also watch some of the matches from the past that the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera, has been a part of. You're going to definitely want to do that. I can assure you, Power.tv is also where you can watch content from the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera here, and we are talking all things related here to the world of professional wrestling with pro wrestling star here, the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera. It is a tremendous honor to have him. I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportzwire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryson. The Playboy Prince, Lance Revera. Let's get back to the match here with Wildfire Nate Reese, and obviously,
Can I just say that was
absolutely
seriously impressive. That was seriously impressive. I'm usually the one having to hype my own stuff up, but the fact that you've just got in there and started giving out all my socials and everything, I feel like I'm in for an easy night here. I'm just sat here like, yeah, I don't have to say anything.
Well,
I'm just here.
It's funny you said that because, see, I cover we're a radio station, and I had to correct Andre Dekker, despite I've had him on a million times, and he knows me very well. So something tells me I think he was breaking my balls with that. But see, we cover all types of sports here, and I have to almost cover it that way because when you deal with certain athletes, they have like these egos. They're like, well, you've got to plug me the first 5 minutes in. Or I never forget, I had interviewed a politician, and I asked him, I said, well, what did you think of the interview? He goes, you were great, but there was one problem. And I said, okay, well, what's the problem? He goes, well, you plugged all of my stuff at the end of the interview. But I said, I plugged all of your stuff. So it made me think his advice was plug the stuff toward the early to middle and do it repeatedly. So if people are checking in, like a Joe Wynn, they can check you out. So that's the one thing it's why I always do the plugging as much as I have to make sure, because you are potentially going to be a world champion. So I definitely realize who I'm going to be with here. But we're going to have Wildfire Nate Reese on here again. We're going to play it for tomorrow night. We'll have him on here, and obviously we'll see how my voice holds up. But we're going to have him on, and obviously this is a match that I think a lot of people, I think in a lot of ways, it's going to be a wild card match because there's a lot of great matches in Odyssey Pro Wrestling. It's obviously going to have Synergy and Reese and Rogan. 2-Bit's going to be in action. Obviously, the main event, a number of different things that are going to go on out there. But this match, something tells me in a lot of ways, is going to be the match that very well could steal the thunder of a number of matches. Do you go into a match like this and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to steal the show from, let's say, the main event or Synergy and Reese and Rogan, whoever else is on the card? I mean, how do you go into a match like this Saturday night and say automatically that's what I'm going to do? Or talk to me about your thoughts.
I always think that you've got to walk into there and think this is going to be the best match on the show. You've got to feel it, because I feel like if you don't go into a show and feel like you're going to steal it, you're not going to be the best match on the card. Then what's the point? If you're not going to be the best, well, what's the point in turning up? You don't want to play for second best, do you? You don't want to play for just being. You don't want to just be a part of it. You don't want a participation award, do you?
Absolutely, no question. I mean, listen, that's the whole point, right? I mean, you want to make sure that you're having a match that everybody looks upon to. I mean, let me ask you this question then, going back to Wildfire Nate Reese. And obviously, again, we'll get his thoughts and he'll have some reactions for sure. But when it comes to somebody like him, and I know I asked you before about he might be looking to make a name off you, and obviously the match he had against Andre Dekker. But do you feel like, in a sense, that he's got more to lose than you do because you've established yourself, right? You've obviously had a lot of success. You could be a world champion. You've been champion. And we've spoke with him, and he's had in the LWF, how can I put this? Not so much of the same luck that you've had. Let's just be kind, right? Now, obviously, he'll hear this comment and he'll riff off it. But do you feel like in a lot of ways that the pressure's more on him than you to win this one? Because you've obviously been established, and I'll get to Simon Hill next. I promise you I want to get to Simon Hill because I've had Simon Hill on. I want to talk about Simon Hill, but I want to get back to Nate Reese here. And do you feel like the pressure's more on him than you based off some of those things I just said?
I don't think the pressure's more on him at all. I think the pressure's on me, if anything.
Why do you say that?
Because you've got to keep that momentum going, especially if I want to walk into May 29th and become champion. If I want to continue to turn up at Odyssey Pro Wrestling and be considered one of the best, you've got to walk in there and you've got to be able to win. You've got to be able to perform in these crucial moments. If you look in sport, like look at football, if you talk about football or soccer,
Sure.
You have to.
I play
You have
FIFA,
to
by
try.
the way. So you can say football.
Oh, there we
I
go.
play FIFA on Xbox, so it's okay.
Well, if you look at like Man United back in 2011, 2012,
Sure.
the pressure was on them to win the league away from Manchester City. United ended up drawing 4-4 with Everton. If they'd won, they'd have won the league. Obviously, then the pressure started to mount on United. We got to the last day of the season, and the title was stolen away on the last day. And as a United fan, that was one of the worst moments. But I knew because those players at that time had gone through that, they were able then to win the league the next season. But it's those crucial points in the season where it changes everything, and you have to be able to keep your momentum going. You've always got to keep it to be better. You've always got to be able to win. And if I walk in there on Saturday and I take it too lightly and I somehow lose to Nate, that could turn everything around. Everything could fall apart there. Everything, all things like this just depend on one singular moment. Anything can change.
No question that those are points that I actually didn't think about. So I have to say that's too shady, because I was thinking, okay, well, Nate Reese has got something to prove because he just got added to the Odyssey Pro Wrestling lineup. But you made a good point that you want to stay in title contention and you want to be somebody that could be a number one contender here. And this could arguably be a prove me match to get a shot at whoever will be the Odyssey Pro Wrestling champion coming up here this Saturday, to say the least. But I want to speak about Simon
Exactly.
Hill.
If RPD walks away with that title on Saturday, I'm not gonna let him just walk away. I want a bit of that. Whoever walks away with it, you always want to be looking at who's next, and I want to be next, no matter where it is.
You know what? I'm gonna ask you about that right now, then, since you just spoke about it, and I'm gonna put you on the spot in a way you can answer it whatever the way you want. We have Andre Dekker, the unforgettable Andre Dekker, and he's on a run, to say the least. You've been in the ring with both Ryan Hunter and the natural born fighter, RP Davies. Who would you want to face? Let's say you get another crack at that world championship in Odyssey Pro Wrestling between Dekker, natural born fighter RP Davies, and Ryan Hunter, the current champion. Who would you like to get that shot from after Saturday?
If I'm honest, I don't care who wins. I just want it to be a show. So then when it happens, whoever wins, I'd be more than ready for them. I don't mind who wins. I don't care who it is. If it was up to me and I was the next number one contender, if I was the one to compete against either Ryan Dekker or RPD, I'd be ready for any of them. It's just about taking that opportunity when it comes.
So let me ask another follow-up, because now this is getting really intriguing. Do you feel, in a sense, that this match, because both you and Reese have been in big matches in Odyssey, that this very well could be sort of a number one contenders match to whoever's the champion after Saturday? Do you feel that?
I'm not entirely sure that would be something for Odyssey management to answer, but I'm always putting myself in the shop window. I've always got to be there or thereabouts. So if it's something they'd want to do, I'd be more than happy to take them up on the offer. But that'd be a question for Odyssey management, and I don't want to be putting words into their mouth, especially when I'm getting tweeted. I'm getting tweeted at by Ethan and by Simon Hill saying, "Oh, you've got to behave yourself on Twitter. You've got to do this. You've got to do that." All because Simon's provoking me. I don't want to start putting words into their mouth and then getting tweets back at me or being spoken to on Saturday by management saying, "You can't be saying this. You can't be saying that." Look, I don't want to get myself in trouble. I'll leave it up to them. Whatever they decide, whatever they want to do, that's up to them.
All right, and that's fair points, and that kind of.
I'm having to be very diplomatic.
All right, that's fair. I can certainly appreciate that. That kind of segues me into then this whole situation between you and Simon Hill, and I've seen the back and forth, and in a way, it almost kind of mirrors this whole Andre Dekker, Ethan Edwards situation, maybe from a different context. But talk to me about, for those who might be hearing about this for the first time, and certainly for the Odyssey Pro Wrestling universe here, and how this all started, and why is this going on between you and Simon Hill? Because I know Simon Hill a little bit, and I'm kind of curious on this and why this is all going on.
So you know him a bit, so you know how much of a loudmouth he is and how much he likes to put his opinion across and how much he
He
wants to
is a
chat
good
away.
self-promoter. He definitely likes
There
to
you
promote
go.
himself.
That's a very polite way to describe the things that come out of his mouth. But it all started during my first title match for Odyssey at TNT. He was in the balcony doing comms. I lay back to pin Ryan. So it's 1, 2. Ryan gives a big kick out. And all I hear from the balcony is him exclaiming at the top of his voice, "Oh, Lance Revera needs to do more here." And all I can think in that moment is Simon Hill, the commentator, not the professional wrestler, Simon Hill, the commentator. Who are you to pass an opinion on me? Me, number one, the Playboy Prince of Professional Wrestling, Lance Revera, your girlfriend's favourite wrestler. Who is he to pass an opinion on me and what I'm doing? He should just be calling the action, not passing an opinion. He's not being paid to pass an opinion. He's there to call the action. There's a big difference between calling the action and passing an opinion when you've never been in the ring.
Let me ask you a follow-up to that, because I do think it's actually, now I think about it, it's a little different than even the Ethan Edwards, Andre Dekker situation. Do you feel like, in a sense, that maybe there's a disrespect issue there?
Oh, massively.
Okay, good. Tell me why.
Massively. He has no respect for me. He has no respect for what I have to say, or what I do, or what I've been through to be where I am, to be described as number one, to be the Playboy Prince. He doesn't know what work goes into that. And him to sit there and belittle me in my moment at TNT, and then continuously to jump on it on Twitter and likes to put his opinion across and get all mouthy on Twitter. The fella won't even step in the ring. He might be training at Future Shop, but I don't see him stepping towards Lance Revera. I know that he avoids me when I'm training. I know he doesn't want to come near me, but he likes to shoot shots over Twitter. And I'm sure on Saturday he'll have more to say during my match and like to chirp away as like he does. And he keeps saying, "Oh, Ethan, you can't talk to me like that. Ethan, stop him." Well, maybe Simon, maybe don't step to the Playboy Prince of Professional Wrestling if you don't like what comes afterwards. If you want to go for the crown, you don't want to miss, you've got to take your shot. And if he continues to shoot like a stormtrooper and miss, it's just an absolute joke. I think, in all honesty, he's just trying to ride off the back of what I'm doing at the moment. He's just chasing clout. That's all he wants from me. He just wants to feel relevant.
You know, it's funny you said that, because I look at you outside the ring and him outside the ring, and tell me your thoughts on this. I see that maybe, I don't know if it's a jealousy issue on his end, but I see like maybe you guys ride in the same circles. Maybe he's looking for the same glory. Do you see maybe something of that? Maybe is that something that's fair to say?
Hey, if he's jealous, he's jealous. He's there covering all these games conventions, the big basement dweller, and
he's also the DJ. You always see him at the club, and he's always, it's almost that he's trying to get the ladies like you, maybe.
Hey, if he wants to be a DJ and wants to be the center of attention for the night in a dirty, sweaty bar, then that's up to him. But don't be coming to me with your jealousy and talking all this nonsense over Twitter and can't stand the fact that, do you know what, maybe Lance Revera is a bit more popular than me. Don't be talking all this absolute nonsense. I get that I'm younger, handsomer. Do you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is, but don't be coming to me and trying to ride the back of me, try and ride on my coattails, Simon. I hope he's listening. I hope he's sat there at home right now listening to this live.
Well, it's not like he's got anything else to do right now at 10:45 UK time. It's like,
exactly.
What could he really be doing?
Exactly. What else will he be doing?
Something tells me. Maybe playing games. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing, but I know one thing. He certainly is listening to the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera, because something tells me that a whole lot more people are going to be listening to the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera, because 2022 is going to be the year of the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera, because, ladies and gentlemen, not only could he potentially walk away with a coveted victory here, Saturday at Odyssey Pro Wrestling's War on the Shore against our own Wildfire Nate Reese. But May the 29th, he very well could be the Wrestle Island's youngest world champion. And that's a pretty big accomplishment. He could be the world champion here. He's in a huge match against Warren Banks for the championship. So these are reasons why you want to, again, follow the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera, Lance_Revera on Twitter, Instagram, also like his Facebook page, YouTube page, also subscribe. In about 10 or so minutes with the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera. It has been a very impactful evening here on Sportswire Radio when it comes to Odyssey Pro Wrestling. I feel like Odyssey Pro Wrestling just took us over. We got the unforgettable Andre Dekker. We had the natural born fighter, RP Davies. And, of course, we saved the best for last, arguably the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera. He definitely brings us ratings. So there is no question that is a tremendous honor to have him here on the show on Odyssey Pro Wrestling. And one more time, please give them a like on Facebook at Odyssey Pro Wrestling, Twitter at Odyssey Pro Wrestling. Also, OPW_UK. Also subscribe to the YouTube page. I think we got like 800 subscribers now on YouTube. So make sure you do subscribe to the YouTube page here as well. So doing very well here with that. But let me ask you something. I always ask this to somebody I have on here for the first time. What are your goals for 2022? I assume one of them is to be the Wrestle Island World Champion. I assume another is to beat Nate Reese on Saturday night. But what are some of your other goals for 2022?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, at Kingdom of Wrestling, we are looking at a tournament going forward to crown the new king of the Kingdom of Wrestling. So that within itself is a goal of mine, getting towards the end of the year. But just to be the best version of myself, to be the Playboy Prince of professional wrestling, and get to be on as many shows as possible, to get on the biggest shows I can get on, and just to continue to work forward going through the year and into next year. Got to keep that momentum going.
Oh, I have no doubt that you will. Is there any companies that you haven't worked in yet that you'd like to work in? And don't tell me WWE, because everyone's going to say WWE, AEW, but is there any other companies that we might know from here that you'd say, you know what, I'd like to work for that company and be a part of it, like we are with Future Shock this Sunday?
Hey, I'd love, when you say over here, I'd love to come over to America. I'd love to work any shows over there. If anybody wants to fly me over, I'd be more than happy to. I'd love to fly you over. Listen, I mean, if I could book you, I'd love to book you. I mean, I've seen you in the ring. I know what you can bring to the table. Hey, I'll happily come out. I'd love a good holiday out to America. And I think America would definitely want to have you, and I think it would certainly be a VIP-like experience, to say the least. There we go. It'll definitely be a Playboy Prince party like no other. Is there any wrestlers that you haven't been in the ring yet with that you'd like to wrestle, maybe? Let me just rack my brain here. There is a few that I'd like to get in the ring with. I'd like to be in the ring with RPD again. That's something I'd like to do. So wherever that leads us, I'm sure he's listening and I'm sure he's watching right now. He's always listening. He's always listening and watching. He's always listening. Of course he is. Well, yeah, there was a number. I'd like to get in the ring with Ryan Hunter again. That's another one. 2-Bit is one that I'd like to wrestle this year. That'd be fun. That'd be a good one. I'm just going to end up with a list like Cody Rhodes and just take a picture of it on the table and like, here you go. I'm going to take it to different promotions, just handing it around, going, here you go. There you go, and sort that one. I'm trying to think of anybody that I'd like to see you wrestle that maybe you haven't mentioned. Have you been in the ring with Will Carter? I feel like you and Will Carter would be a good match. Will Carter of the Freak Show. Yep, Unhinged Will Carter. We wrestled at Kingdom of Wrestling in a tag match. It was me and Jack Barron versus the Freak Show, and that's where that rivalry started. Jack lost us the match, and I thought, well, if you're going to take away my limelight, I'm going to take away yours. And I gave him a good old super kick to end that match, and that's where we started there. But he deserved it. He asked for it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't just turn on him. It was not like I just did it maliciously. He shouldn't have ruined my day. I'm trying to think of anybody else that comes to mind. Nick Cutter, that'd be a good one. Because Nick Cutter, I've had on Nick Cutter, and he was the Castle Cup winner in the LWF, and we've obviously seen Nick Cutter in Odyssey Pro Wrestling, and I think that would be a match. You and him, I think, would be a really, really intriguing match. That was my other guy that came to mind off the bat. It was like Nick Cutter, because I knew that you and Will had been in some kind of match, but I knew Nick Cutter, you and him had not been in a true match of any comment in here. And I have a comment
I guess from a fan. I'm going to read the fan's comment in here, and he might be referring to a wrestler that might want to beat you up. And this comment comes from a fan. He says, "I'll kick his head in." Yeah, I don't want to reveal. I don't want to reveal that individual's name. He's been a frequent participant in many of our streams.
I saw his comment earlier on. I thought I was watching before, and I was like, I wonder how many people are going to start coming and wanting matches with me. And there we go. He'll kick my head in. There we go.
That might be even the bat signal. You ever think about like when Bruce Wayne jumps onto the bat suit? That's all I'll say here. But we do have a comment from a frequent guest, I guess you might say at this point. He is one half of the LWF Tag Team Champions. That is Davey Getsky, and he says he'll kick his head in as well, meaning you. So you have a comment you'd like to respond?
Well, if you'd like to try, I'm more than welcome. I'll take on all comers. If you want to try, Big Davey boy, I'm more than welcome to catch your foot and stop you from kicking my head in. Because the only person who's got the gift of the kick, as you could say, the lady killer, the super kick, the one super kick that still finishes matches, I'll kick your head in, pal. Don't you worry.
And resident fan here of the day, Joe Wynn, wants a match with you. But Joe Wynn's in North Carolina, and I don't know if Joe Wynn is a trained professional wrestler there. Yeah, Joe. Joe. Yeah, just Joe. It was a while back. There was actually a wrestler. I forget. It was just Joe, I think. I forget who it was. It was like very briefly in WWE. I'm probably going to get like referenced on this, but he was like one of the goofy gimmicks they had in the Ruthless Aggression era. I'm pretty sure it was just Joe. And I'm trying to remember what I remember just Joe was. And that's what just Joe Wynn comes to mind here. But you and Getsky would be an interesting match. I mean, maybe in the LWF, but although I do hear for whatever reason, Steve Bibby pays in hot dogs, so I don't know if he could afford you.
No, not hot dogs, pal. But do you know what? I do take a tasty hot dog. I do like them sometimes. So if he wants to get in contact, we can work out maybe 2 hot dogs, something like that.
Okay. And Joe Wynn says he's in North Carolina. He's from North Carolina, but he's in New York. All right, that's good. I see Syracuse on your page. So that
it's nice to have specifics, isn't it? It's nice when people give you specifics like that.
You know what? I mean, listen, specifics always count, right? It's always about the specifics, right? To say the least. I mean, but
maybe if Joe wakes up early enough, eats his Cheerios, and trains hard enough, maybe one day he can have a match with the Playboy Prince. But I'm not promising anything.
Hey, look, I'm just lucky to have the interview with the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera. Certainly, it took this much here, and we have another comment from another pro wrestler you might be familiar with. He's the other half of the tag team champs in the LWF, and he's I can't say he's related to one half of the tag team champions. Let me backtrack here, like the bat signal. Somebody, and it would be Go Getsky. So this individual is related to one half of the other half of the tag team champs in the LWF, and he's certainly a fan of Davey Getsky. So I mean, would you like to comment to that individual who might know somebody that tag teams with Davey Getsky? Would you have a comment?
I'm liking your roundabout way here. He's a distant cousin.
I'm trying to. You know what it is? I don't want to because everybody in wrestling. I don't want to do that because you might have seen there was a comment might have been sort of maybe related to you when RPD was on. I didn't want to say who that particular person might have been related to. So what I've been trying to do, and I think the wrestlers appreciate that. That's why we keep getting wrestlers to come on here because they know that I don't blow anyone's tracks, as you might want to say.
You don't blow a cover. That fella earlier, I have no idea who he is. I thought, was he commenting about RPD for what a marquee?
I don't know, but I just know for whatever reason, and I've been doing this quite a while on the streams, I've gotten more comments from wrestlers than I've gotten like in 2 months. Maybe because this is the first stream I've done probably in about a month, but I haven't done it because I actually have been working a job that prohibited me from really doing anything of any sort like this. But all of a sudden today, it's like the floodgates have opened. I had wrestler after wrestler that's come on the stream here, and that's the case. I mean, so
it's because you've got a hat trick of wrestlers on today. You've got all of us. And now everyone's piling in. It's just you've opened up the floodgates.
I certainly did open up the floodgates. That
fella who did comment earlier, that big mark about RPD, he does have a very, very good looking back of the head from his picture, I do have to say.
Well, I'm gonna plead the fifth because I don't want to incriminate, I don't want to confirm, I don't want to deny. I had a friend that was a lawyer. He'd always say, I don't confirm or don't deny. So I'm going to take that approach. But I will put the
It's
approach
fine.
out there.
I won't be speaking without a lawyer present either. Don't worry.
Fair enough. Duly noted. But I will put it out there for anybody else that may particularly want to chime in that might be related to a pro wrestler. Is there anything they want to ask the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera? I'll put it out there to the floor for a change. Is there anybody that wants to ask anything to the Playboy Prince? Because I could ask you millions of questions.
This could be dangerous.
Not me at this point. Nobody gives a flying hoot about what I have to say. But does anybody like to ask the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera, anything in particular?
How many times am I going to get asked, do I want to get my head kicked in by someone? I've made a lot of enemies over the years because, well, I'm just too good looking for people, and the people just don't seem to like it. Do you know what I mean?
Can't handle that. I mean, I guess there is a point that people can't handle.
Look at Simon Hill.
And such, yeah. Well, Simon Hill has to train first. I mean, so clearly Simon Hill says that. And we have another comment here from Mr. Davey Getsky, who I can confirm his approach, and he says here,
okay.
Do you want to get your head kicked in?
Hey! First one. Not particularly. Not today. I'm off the clock at the moment. It is nearly 11 o'clock over here, so I'm off the clock for getting my head kicked in at the moment. But come find me on Saturday. We can discuss figures.
Well, is Davey Getsky? Does he? Well, he could buy a ticket still, right? Because he's not on the card. I'm pretty sure for the Odyssey Pro.
Well, if he wants to buy a ticket and come see Lance Revera, he's more than welcome to.
Well, and cheap pop here. Go to odysseyprowrestling.co.uk/ shop, and you can actually buy a ticket, Mr. Getsky, and you could see the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera, in action against Wildfire Nate Reese. I should actually ask Davey Getsky this question. I'm going to ask him this question because...
Well, he's not even on here. He's not even on. What's going on? We're asking the comments.
Well, actually, it's going to relate to you. And we'll get.
What have I done? I've caused this whole thing to go off the rails.
I promise you're going to like this question. So, Davey Getsky, here's the question for you before we get closing thoughts. Davey Getsky, who do you think wins Saturday night? Wildfire Nate Reese or the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera?
And we've got to wait on this now. He's frantically typing away.
Jeopardy clock. Well, I have to tell you, I actually was a contestant, sort of, for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Were you?
I
cool.
tried out and I took I tried out and everything. And Davey Getsky responses don't care. So
Dave.
What a bogus. I gotta be honest, Davey Getsky. I've known you a while, Davey Getsky, and I put you on every stream. But you could have at least had a double count out or a disqualification or
look here, David. I'm very disappointed in you.
Double DQ from
Hey!
Now at least I could respect that answer. Double DQ. All right. I mean that I could respect. That at least I could say, you know what? You put an outcome out there. And Davey Getsky says still don't care. Okay, so Davey Getsky's
for goodness sake, David. Do you know what, David? Put down your phone. Just have a nice drink. Just calm down. Look,
I don't
we
think
can
he
still
drinks.
be friends.
Have you seen Davey Getsky the way he looks? He's not drinking anything.
Look, he can drink some water. He can just chill out.
Water. He's probably drinking like vitamin water, like the really boring version.
He just seems a bit.
Davey. He wants to be called. It's Davey.
David, stop it. Look, it's okay. We can chill out, man. Like, come round. I'll put my arm around you. We can have a good time. Like, just chill, man. It's cool. We're cool.
Nathan Gunn tried that approach. It doesn't work with Davey Getsky. Let me just.
It's okay. I'll take him out on a night on the town. We'll show him a good time.
I think Nathan Gunn tried that approach. I don't think it worked for Nathan Gunn.
I'm not Nathan Gunn though. I'm Lance Revera. So it's exactly. I'll show him a really good time. Like
now,
we'll go out.
Now Joe Wynn's got some balls here because he chimes in here and he's going after Davey Getsky. This is for you, Davey. Joe Wynn says from his picture it looks like he needs a burger or two. That's for you, Davey Getsky, because Joe Wynn's not talking about me because obviously.
Bloody hell, Joe. What side of the bed did he wake up on?
I don't know. You know what? Who knows what people... You know what? You never know. What comments on social media, you just never know from people what moods they're in. You just never know. I can
confirm for Joe that our David is in very good shape.
He's in phenomenal shape.
He is in phenomenal shape. So he is probably stepping to the wrong man there, and he's barking up the wrong tree by saying
No,
that.
he's definitely barking up the wrong tree. As Ozzy
Exactly.
sang famously, he would bark at the moon. He definitely bark at the moon for this one. So
Joe always has an opinion from the sounds of it. He loves it, doesn't he?
seven abs are resident
there you
guests
go.
there. Certainly, this
There you
individual,
go.
yeah, Davey Getzky's got between him and the asset Stephen Cross, they have like 20 abs together. I mean,
It's ridiculous.
It's like
it's ridiculous.
People tell me I'm in good shape, but I'm like, I don't have 7 abs. I mean, yes, I'm fit, but I'm not like Davey Getzky. Let's just put it that way. Davey Getzky says, "Grow up, Joe."
It's a fair shout, you know.
But yeah, well, he kind of walked into that, and Joe Wynn says, "No such thing as a wrong tree." I guess. Is that true? Does anybody want to confirm that? Is that true?
There's definitely such things. There is definitely such thing as a wrong tree, because if you've walked in the wrong direction, you think that's the right tree. You get to it and you're like, hold on, that's not the right tree.
I feel
if you're meant to be meeting someone at a tree.
I feel like all the time I'm putting my foot in my mouth. So what do I know? I'm gonna at least say I'm gonna plead the fifth on that, and I'm gonna certainly say if the Playboy Prince Lance Revera says so. And some of these guys on here, I'll say, yeah, I'll just go with it. I'll go with.
Well, if you're meant to meet someone at a tree, you walk up to the wrong tree, and you're like, "Where's my friend?" You're then barking up the wrong tree.
I guess. Have you ever walked into a tree and like you hit your head on it? I mean, I know I feel like I've been walking and kind of like I know I've done this before. Because I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I could tell you, I can remember countless times like walking, and all of a sudden, like I just bang into a tree. And I'm like, what did I just hit myself into? So, I guess that would certainly be the case here.
I've never walked into a tree. I won't lie to you.
Well, that's why you're the Playboy Prince, and I'm not. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
But I know I know it's getting late here, and David Getzky says, "What a random interview." Well, to be fair, David Getzky, it is a random interview. But to be fair, David Getzky, you've been on the stream here like how many? You've been on my streams like millions of times. You've been a guest as well. I mean, this is what happens. We are heard in 13 countries. I would remind you, there are people that just tune in, and we're on Roku, by the way, as well. So I mean, there are people
we're getting on us.
That's the point. You're on radio, you're on Roku, you're on YouTube, Facebook, all these other streams, and people that's what you get
here. It's
about
time, to be honest.
But before we get out of here, because I realize it's getting late, we have to plan for a match Saturday that you are a part of.
It's fine. I'm more than happy to go all night. I meant to tell you, actually, after you said you were on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, I'm on Disney Plus.
Okay, so there you go. So you've been on Disney Plus. So there you go. So
I am. I'm a film star,
what were you on Disney Plus for?
The film Tolkien.
Okay.
About J.R.R. Tolkien. I'm also on Netflix. I was on a show called Free Reign.
So you do acting then?
I've done bits. Hollywood Lance and all that.
I was actually in one like NYU like I had like a short film. I think I had like one or two speaking parts in it, and then I'm in another one somewhere. I think like a random one. I'm in that, and I took drama in high school for 2.5 years, so I have a little bit of that. In college I took a class sort of related to that. So I guess that's probably why. Yeah. So and Joe Wynn says, I knew you were in sync. Well, there you go. So that way you can confirm or deny here. But
we are very in sync. I'd like to think we were. I'd like to think that we sync up quite well.
Well, the bank account.
If we were out of sync, I'd be a bit concerned.
Certainly, the bank account we'd like to have of all those members. I mean, certainly Joey Fatone, Chris Fitzpatrick, Justin Timberlake, of course, and Lance Bass. I would like 1/10 of their bank accounts, but most people would agree. But I realize we are getting random here, and I want to get to closing thoughts. But before I do that, because I could go on all day with you, and I have a feeling we'll bring you back. But before I get closing thoughts from you, I want to give you the floor here. This is your last words here to Wildfire Nate Reese. And I want to give you the floor no pressure, right? But I want to give you this opportunity. And what would you like to say for your final words to Wildfire Nate Reese before Saturday night War on the Shore for Odyssey Pro Wrestling?
Look, Nate, I know you're listening, and I know that you want a straight shot at this. I know you're a fantastic talent. You're a very talented man. I've known you for a very long time now. But come Saturday, we're going to put on a very good show. We're going to give the Odyssey fans what they came to see. But come to the end of the match, you're going to realise why I am number one. why I am challenging for the Wrestle Island Championship come May 29th, why the Odyssey Pro Wrestling management covet me so much. You will understand why I am number one, why I am the Playboy Prince of professional wrestling, and why I'm your girlfriend's favourite wrestler. So come the end of the match, no matter how good you are, I'm always going to be that little bit better.
Ladies and gentlemen, those were certainly important words, impactful words, and something tells me that the Playboy Prince Lance Revera could probably be in one of those Dos Equis commercials. He could probably be in one of those commercials with probably a little drink in his hand and probably out there doing something interesting. And he's definitely one of the more interesting people that we've had here, to say the least, on Sportswire Radio. So it has been.
I'd like to think I'm your best guest.
You're one of the better ones. I will tell you.
One of the better ones. Hold on. What do you mean one of the better ones? I am the best one.
All right. Well, wrestling one, I can't compare for other sports. Wrestling.
I'm multi-platformed.
Okay. All right. So you want to? I'll say it. You were the best one I've ever had.
There we go. That's all I needed to hear, because I can clip that up now.
To quote the Drake song, "The best I ever had." That's what you are. Okay. All
there
right?
we go. That's what I wanted to hear. That's what's going to go on my Twitter.
You know what? Maybe I'll say it because you might be one of the best looking. Maybe you are the best looking.
I am the best looking.
David Getsky says that's bull. David Getsky, you haven't come on the show. David Getsky hasn't come on sports. Well, David Getsky, when are you coming back to Sportswire Radio? Because I feel like David Getsky.
Bloody hell, David.
David Getsky never comes on Sportswire Radio. And Joe Wynn says pause. But Joe Wynn, you're not a guest on this show. You're a commenter. You can't. You only just joined us today. I don't know how you could say that Joe Wynn would be the best. I mean, but well, Lance Revera is when you pay me, but you don't want to come on and speak. That's why I offered to pay you.
David, this is not your interview, David.
We're going to have a chat with David Getsky after this. So David Getsky, we'll talk after we're done here. We'll definitely talk. David Getsky, we'll definitely talk with David Getsky. I can assure you.
David Getsky, this isn't on.
We're going to talk with David Getsky after we're done. That's for sure. But I want to
be having serious words.
We're going to. David. I can't say it's that serious, but we'll definitely have some. This isn't root canals. When I had root canal, that was serious. I have to say, I would recommend.
Might be root canaling him when I see him.
I had root canal 3 years ago, and it was still painful. It was just,
not for me. I keep mine in good nick.
I tried. Listen, I tried the whole approach, and I put it off as long as I could until one day, all of a sudden, I thought, oh, okay, maybe my teeth clicked off. And it turned out I couldn't eat on one side of my mouth for a month, and it turned into 3 months and 4 months.
Don't ever think about teeth. It freaks me out. You ever seen Brock Lesnar's teeth?
Have you seen most wrestlers' teeth? Let's be honest. Most wrestlers' teeth. They don't have.
I don't know. I ever think about teeth. If I broke one of my teeth, I'd have to get it fixed. So
between wrestlers and hockey players, between them, if I'm a dentist, I must have made $1 billion by now, or £1 billion, as we might say. So that's. I
had a filling knocked out once in a match, and that was uncomfortable. I had to go get that fixed, and my dentist was like, "How have you done this?" And I was like, well, you see.
I think Bret Hart said in his book, I think he said one of the most painful, I think it was Bret Hart that said one of the more painful things he said in his career, believe it or not, was a tooth knock. Now, not the Goldberg kick, but a tooth was knocked out in a match. So that's that. I've
never gone the full Monty and knocked a tooth out, just the filling, and that was sore enough. It got knocked loose, and I bit into something.
Don't give Davey Getsky any ideas, because you could give him an idea too. So he is listening.
If David kicks out one of my teeth, I could not be liable for what happens.
Well, let Steve Bibby be liable, but you know WF ring, because I'm sure he can pay it in hot dogs, right, or whatever it might be.
I love a good hot dog. Do you know what? You've made me really hungry.
Oh, you mean both? That's why I want to give you closing thoughts. So let's give you closing thoughts. Let's plug your social media. Anything else you want to say, and the floor is yours.
Well, make sure you're there this Saturday at Odyssey Pro Wrestling. That's the main thing. And then obviously Sunday is already a sellout at Future Shock. So if you wanted to get tickets, you're far too late. If you wanted to see the Playboy Prince of professional wrestling roll into Stockport and perform to his very best of his ability, you're a bit too late. But there is tickets still available for Odyssey Pro Wrestling this Saturday in Morecambe. So if you want to come see Lance Revera versus Nate Reese, this is now the time to get your tickets. Also, if you want to get one of these fantastic Lance Revera t-shirts, go to lancevera12.bigcartel.com. There is plenty of merchandise for you to get there. These t-shirts are currently on back order, and we are looking at one of our last runs of this t-shirt. So if you want to get this shirt, go on, I'll get right into the camera for you. If you want one of them, it is now time to buy one on the store. They are currently on back order, and they will be in stock on April 20th. So now is the time to act before it is too late, because once they are gone, they are gone.
Well, that means you have to count me in, because come April 20th, what are we, 13 days from now? Well, 12 days just about in the UK. That means you can count my support for a shirt, because I always try to wear shirts. I have a recent Rogan shirt somewhere. For whatever reason, I can't find. So it means I have to wear a Playboy Prince.
We can't lose mine. If you lose mine, I don't think I
lost the recent Rogan shirt. I just don't know where someone put it. I don't know where it is, but that's a separate conversation. I'm sure I misplaced it, and I just don't know where it is. I mean, what can I tell you? That happens.
I'm sure you can find it.
I've got so many wrestling shirts, though, that's just a common thing. I mean, I've got so many, not even WWE shirts, just wrestling shows on my radio station, and they wear their shirts. So I have one shirt from a woman, Ivy, that I was trying to, let's just say, be friendly with, and I can't find that shirt, but that's probably why she's not so friendly with me anymore. But hey, here nor there. But before we get out of here, Odyssey Pro Wrestling, one more time, if you haven't got a chance, please go to odysseyprowrestling.co.uk/shop. Also, OPW Twitter, Odyssey Pro Wrestling, Facebook, Twitter at Odyssey Pro Wrestling, YouTube, Patreon, Odyssey Pro Wrestling, Power.tv. Also, make sure you watch all stuff related to Odyssey Pro Wrestling, along with the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera, who you can follow, Lance_Revera. That is Revera. Also, to Instagram as well, YouTube, Facebook, the Playboy Prince, Lance Revera. He is going to be a part of an action-packed card Saturday, Odyssey Pro Wrestling, against our own Wildfire Nate Reese. Sunday, Future Shock Pro Wrestling with 2-Bit, who is no stranger to the show. They'll be in tag team action May the 29th, Wrestle Island for the World Championship against the current champion, Warren Banks, and much, much more in between that. Kingdom of Wrestling as well. I want to shout out everybody there as well. So, Champ, I can't thank you enough. I got a feeling I'm going to have you back on here after this match against
You better have, since I am your definite 100% number one guest you've ever had. So how could you not have me back?
Oh, and you're going to hear what Nate Reese says about you, I'm sure, tomorrow. So, yeah, you're going to have to come on now at this point. So, yeah, you're going to have to come on. So, yeah.
I'll be coming back on Saturday, won't I? Just before the show to try and respond to what he said. I've got to get the last word in.
If you want 5 minutes, I mean, listen, it's up to you. Your call. We'll see what he has to say first. But in the meantime, congratulations on all the great stuff. I'm looking forward to the great things you're going to do here in 2022. And I want to thank everybody that is tuned here tonight to Odyssey Pro Wrestling's takeover here of Sportswire Radio. We will be back here tomorrow night with Wildfire Nate Reese. We will also be with the Scenario Nathan Gunn, the Asset Stephen Cross. We'll get their perspectives on all different things, and I'm sure much, much more. I also want to thank the unforgettable Andre Dekker, the natural born fighter RP Davies, and our guest here, the Playboy Prince Lance Revera. I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce. I also want to thank the Northeast Streaming Sports channel on Roku, Linda and Mac McGrath, for granting us access to their channel tonight. Also, the Sportswire Radio team and everybody else. So thank you, everybody. We'll be back here tomorrow night on Sportswire Radio. I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce. Good night, everyone.